Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Cherries Red Army watch-alongs. Today, it is Bournemouth against Tottenham Hotspur. It's going to be a tough one. There's no doubt that I think we're going to lose, but there is definitely a situation in which we could get a result. I have no doubts. But to do that, things are going to have to click, and they're going to have to click well. And Postecoglou has started his time out with Spurs very nicely. They're already in a pretty strong position. After only a couple of games, they did very well against Manchester United. I'm trying to think back to what their previous game was as well. But they're currently sitting sixth, and it was a draw. Brentford, that was it. A good 2-2 draw against Brentford. So they're currently sixth in the table. That would be a good idea if I brought up the current standings. And I can do that right now. So I zoom in a little bit to make things easier. So we currently have Tottenham Hotspur in sixth place after, I would say, a comfortable result, certainly with a 2-0 win against Manchester United, following up from their 2-2 draw against Brentford, who are not doing too badly themselves. As for Bournemouth, at the moment, we're down in 15th. Now, on 1 point, obviously not great, but it's still early days. And I think that every Bournemouth fan looking at the first few fixtures was certainly quite worried about how we were going to start our season. New style, a lot of new players, as it turns out, new manager. A lot still needs to gel before I think we really get going. But I think we're going to be. I think we're going to have a good season regardless. Thank you for all those joining me. Just 70 at the moment. That's kind of to be expected. Heck, early kickoff, home game. Not expecting a lot of numbers, but for those of you that are joining me, thank you very much for doing so. James with the first comment. We're going to be fine. Looking forward to our first season where we won't be in the bottom three at any time. Only the big six in Newcastle including Newcastle, have spent more than us. Yeah, absolutely. Spend doesn't necessarily mean much, but it certainly means. In terms of final result, but what it does mean is the owners are certainly very much behind the team and behind the manager. Wayne, nice of you to join us. The Fulham fan that comes on the show to comment regularly. Thank you very much for joining. Those of you that are watching on, please do get yourself involved in the chat. Send me a question. I'm here to talk to you guys who are obviously interested in hearing another opinion about the game. As for today, the teams are out. Kirk has put this up together for us quite nicely to show the Bournemouth and the Spurs teams. We have two changes for Bournemouth. We've got Kelly coming in for Senesi, which is an interesting one. Senesi is on the bench, so I do wonder, is this maybe a knock related? I think he did. He did get cramp at the end of our first match against West Ham, but he played a large part of the game against Liverpool. I would not say it was his best game. I will agree with a few people that maybe weren't too pleased with Senesi during the match, but I do feel as though he is the real progressive passer out of our defensive options. Kelly coming in though. Kelly is a very much a Premier League standard defender. I mean, I have my issues with how he deals with counterattacks, but I think generally he is more of a leadership figure at the back in that back four. I would say when it's a very young defense, I think it's useful to have someone that has the kind of leadership qualities and the strength that Kelly does. As for the rest, as the only other one is Cliver coming in for his first start for Bournemouth, which I'm pleased with. I've been looking forward to seeing him start. I was very impressed with him against Atalanta in a game that we lost comfortably in the end 3-1. I do feel as though he hasn't really shown anything of his best yet, and I'm been frustrated that he hasn't been actually combining very well with Kirkes from left back very much. But I'm hoping that he has a good game today. No, definitely. As for Spurs, I believe that's an unchanged lineup, though the sort of the worries, I think, from a Tottenham perspective, were that Maddison wouldn't play. But I mean, he was telling everyone that would listen that it was just just a precaution when he was in that boot after the Man United game. So I'm fairly certain that's a completely unchanged lineup. And I mean, it's no surprise. You beat Man United 2-0. You should be pretty confident that your team is doing something right and be looking to move on with that same squad in the next game. Let me see. Got a couple of questions. James, would you rather sign Che Adams or Daka as we can? But I believe Che Adams has already got some kind of deal going with Everton that have agreed. No, I'm sure I heard that someone's already sort of basically agreed a deal for Che Adams there. Let me just see if I can move that down a bit. There we go. I prefer Daka. I think he'll do something different to our other attacking options. I think he's got more scary pace than I think Semenyu's got it in him, but he's not going to be used as a striker as much. I prefer Daka. I don't think Che Adams is going to do enough really for us necessarily. Also, I was at the 2021 game standing next to a scout, and yeah, I saw Andrew Simon Francis was there as well. He said we're in for a winger that Burnley are also in for, but didn't name drop. My feeling is that it's Teller. I thought Teller was a striker. I know he was there with them for a while, but I just don't get this. I don't get this winger talk. Sky Sports confirmed that we're still in for a striker and a winger. Yeah, in for a striker, great. I don't get being in for a winger. I don't think at the moment. I don't think he'd start. He's not. Teller's not got any Premier League experience at the moment. When you compare him to the other options that we've got, I do think that I have been really confused by all this sort of like we need a winger, we need a winger, we need a winger. We just don't at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. Let me try and if I bring up Bournemouth's current squad. Or at least if I use SofaScore to bring up our current list. If we go through our, let's see, midfielders and forwards. So you've got Justin Kluivert, Antoine Semenyo, who, is a good option on the wing. Dango Ouattara, Hamid Traore can play there, but I don't see it. David Brooks, Ryan Christie, Marcus Tavernier, and Jaden Anthony. 7, 8 if you count Hamid Traore, and 6 of those are wingers. They're not midfielders that play on the wing. They're not strikers that play on the wing. 6 of them are wingers. Admittedly, Ryan Christie has been played inside a lot more. I don't understand this coach. Now, obviously, you've got Ouattara, Traore, and Semenyo are all in line probably to be out of our squad for the African Cup of Nations in January, which brings us from 8 to 5 wingers that can only play in 2 positions. And the other thing that you've got to consider is like, we still haven't seen them really combine properly in this new system. It's all good and well saying the wingers aren't good enough. It's like, guys, you do remember we did have a League One team in the Premier League that survived. I know as much as we vaunt Eddie Howe, once you get to a certain point, the level between really good Premier League player and average Premier League player is tiny. It's about what the manager gets out of them. Elite, you take a step above. Bournemouth are not in that category. Bournemouth aren't looking for those players. You go from where we are to like the next level is a tiny gap. It's about, can the manager take them to up a step or two? And you look at Anthony's got a lot more in his game that he's not. I think that we're not getting the best out at the moment. Kluivert, I think, can be a really good finisher. We're not getting him in good positions. He's barely played. David Brooks, I think, is easily good enough to be our consistent right winger. And Semenyo is proving that he's definitely got it in him. And we haven't even talked about Traore, who, I don't think is a winger. Ouattara, who everyone was talking about for a while. and Tavernier, who was practically our most important player last season. So, yeah, we've got some injuries, but I just don't get this talk about we need a winger. We don't need a winger. We really don't. We've spent the sixth highest net spend in the world this summer. 6th or 7th. Net spend, because we barely sold anyone. Like, I really don't see. What we need is a better striker in reserve than Kiefer Moore. We desperately need a better striking option than Kiefer Moore, which is why we've been in for a striker for a while. And I think Patson Daka, I think, is too expensive. I don't think you really need to spend 23 million on who will be your reserve striker who hasn't done it in the Prem yet. I think Daka's too expensive. If you can bring that down, that's great. And the other one we need is a reserve left back. We've still only got one left back in the squad. And people say, oh, yeah, Kelly can play there. Yeah, he can play there, but he's not a left back. We need a reserve left back, and we need a better striker option than Kiefer Moore. Those, and that's at most. To be honest, we don't desperately need anyone more right now. Would like a better striking option, and really, I think we should be getting a reserve left back. We don't desperately need anyone more. That's the way things I see at the moment. Morning, Ben. Thanks for joining again. Hopefully, let's see, 17 minutes from kickoff. Start getting some more numbers in soon. I agree, winger isn't priority. Most of ours are not pace merchants. Most of the guys that come inside. That said, no one who actually attacks across anyway, and fullbacks can do it. Yeah, exactly. The fullbacks are the ones that are meant to do that. In Iraola's system, the fullbacks are the ones that are meant to bomb on, and we've got the fullbacks to do that. Just need Aarons to get his fitness up a little bit because he hasn't been attacking very much so far. Emma, in opinion, this is our strongest ever side on paper when everyone is fit and playing. Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. He wants to play with two CMs and 3 advanced midfielders. You'd want ideally 7 midfielders, 7 attacking midfielders. I mean, if we go through our attacking midfield options, so that front 3 that sits behind the striker, your options are at the moment Cliver, Semenyo, Ouattara, Traore, Billing, Brooks, Christie, Tavernier, Anthony. And you could argue Alex Scott. I think we've got maybe 10 across those 3 positions. So I don't see us needing another one of those. I really don't. I'd not be spending 20, 30 minutes on an injury cover winger if it was my money. Well, I mean, I don't think we are, so I hope not. It doesn't sound when we can buy. Yeah, exactly. Mad to think for 2 million we had bulldozers out the ground and Watkins making promises to Lloyd as he took the glove over. Hello, Alan. After all, watching the TV in Finland, happy with a point. Yeah, I would too. I would be absolutely delighted with a point. So I've got the starting lineup scrolling along the bottom of the screen. It's going to be a tough game. It's definitely going to be a very tough game. I had a quick comment between someone on James Lawrence Scott's Discord between a Spurs fan and basically tactics wise, we will play into Spurs' hands in the way that we want to press and attack. But Spurs also will play into Bournemouth's hands by the way they want to keep the ball, and they'll hold it at the back a lot. And really, the stature of the club, because, as Spursy as they can be, this is a historic side with a lot of quality in them, good reputation, very good manager. They should overwhelm us. They absolutely should. But the other thing that's coming in is that they're new to their tactics and we're new to our tactics. So there are definitely going to be opportunities where I feel as though Spurs are lax at the back in their passing, and that's where we need to pounce. It's not good. Those options aren't going to come across very often, I don't think. But when they happen, we need to take advantage of it. Dynamic, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Ben, Ben doing his best to finish, I feel. Yeah, and we've got. You wouldn't want 7 attacking mids for one position. We've got 10 players that can fit across that front, across that attacking 3. Yeah, Tav, Brooks, Christie, Traore, Clive, Rothwell, Scott, all fit that bill, and that's players that could all play in the centre. That's not even talking about Ouattara, who people have talked about playing in the middle. Tav, I don't think plays in that 10 role. I think he plays further out wide. Heck, any of our midfielders could play that attacking mid position. I'm also excited about having Andoni this season. This is our best manager since bringing Eddie back. This is the guy with the best prospects since bringing Eddie back, I'd say. The guy that's got the best track record, the most proven manager since Eddie left. So think about it. Since we had Eddie, JT, new. Woodgate, I mean, yeah, people liked him, but he wasn't much of a manager. He was a vibes guy. Then we had Parker, who was successful, but that's about all I can really give him credit for. And successful in terms of getting us promoted, because I don't think many of us enjoyed that year all that much. Had some good moments, but there's a lot of rubbish in that year. And then Gary O'Neill, who I think will do well. I think he'll have a good management career. And obviously we can see with Wolves is that he'll have good days and bad days, just like he had with us. But now we've got someone that's actually been there and done it. Iraola has been there and done it. He's done it with Mirandes and he's done it with Vallecano, and he's done it really well. So fingers crossed, this all works out well for us. Right. Let's just bring up the formations again. So, try and make it a bit bigger so it's easier to see. Where's he gone? Line up. There we go. Doesn't like that. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Right. So, pretty similar as well in terms of formations. Now, I would say that what you'll likely see is obviously Ryan Christie will push up a little bit more. And I mean, I'm not too familiar entirely with necessarily how much Sarr and Bissouma will push up together or whether they'll push up sort of one at a time. But it's obviously we're mirroring formations. We're both playing a 4-2-3-1. But Spurs will dominate the ball. Spurs will absolutely dominate the ball. They'll be the ones with the possession. And we need to be the ones that pounce on their mistakes. Now, it's not going to be easy. It's really not. I think I've said that enough times already in the first 20 minutes. And that's why I'm not expecting us to get a point at this game. But that's not to say I don't think we could. I think at the moment, Opta has it as we've got about a 20% chance of a victory, with Spurs at around about a 60% chance. And that's kind of how things are going to be in terms of favourites, I would say. Let's just have a look and see what options each team have got off the bench. So Bournemouth, obviously, with their goalkeeper, Radu, Chris Mepham, and James Hill, and Marcos Senesi. Three centre-backs on the bench. And it shows our lack of depth at fullback. It really does. We need to be bringing in more people. We really need... Well, Smith and Fredericks need to get fit, but we do need to bring in that left-back option, I think. David Brooks, obviously. Lewis Cook is back on the bench. That one's good to see. Lewis Cook back involved. Obviously, Kelly is starting, but it's nice to see that Lewis Cook is actually in the game. Traore, who statistically is obviously showing up quite nice on SofaScore, 7.4 in his one appearance against Liverpool so far. coming off the bench there. Obviously, Jaden Anthony has been dropped to the bench, and Kiefer Moore, who missed a sitter against Liverpool. And if we bring in a striker, we'll be out the door, I feel. And as for Spurs, obviously Fraser Forster, their backup goalkeeper. You've got Ben Davies, Davinson Sanchez, Emerson Royale. So you've got left back, centre back, right back. Perisic can play on either wing or either fullback. Højbjerg as CDM. Skip as a box-to-box, as sort of a more on the ball kind of box-to-box midfielder. Giovanni Lo Celso, who I would like to see get some more game time for this. Obviously, he's going to be behind Maddison, but I rate him. I think you saw at Villarreal, he's not too bad. So he'll be Maddison's backup, but I wouldn't mind seeing some more of him this season. And then Manor Solomon, who obviously we saw put in a few belting goals again for Fulham last season, but we'll have to see what he can do this season in Spurs with more limited game time, I reckon, considering he's going to be back up to Heung-min Son. Let's see. Ben, I guess we were finishing with 6 or 7 forwards on the pitch like last week. Probably not, but that depends if Spurs get a red card. And I mean, we are how many days? Like, I don't know. Probably approaching 500. No, I don't think it's that many. But we're not too far away from a year and a half since our last penalty in a league game. So, be looking to get one of those eventually this season. And that red card for McAllister, which was never a red, was the first red card involved in a Bournemouth game again for a very long time. So, you never know. If a red card's involved again, we may end up with a bunch of forwards on the pitch to try and get back in the game if we end up falling behind in the same way before. So 12:24. It shouldn't be too long before the teams come out. Let's have a look. Why don't you? In fact, just before we finish, why don't we get score predictions? I think I've. Did I mention that before? I said I think we'll lose. I said I think we'll lose 3-1. There we go. For those of you watching along, stick your score predictions in. Then we can look back in the chat and see if anyone's got things spot on. As I said, I'm going for a 3-1 loss. I know that's the same scoreline as against Liverpool, and Sammy's not pleased with me because I've said 3-1, but it's not to us. But yeah, it's I've got reasons to be positive about the team, just not necessarily enough for me to think that we're necessarily going to get anything out of the game. But I'm just looking forward to us playing another good match, because I think we did play we played a pretty decent game against Liverpool for a long part of that, but just it didn't. We weren't able to turn that into a result so much. The penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty, and the red card that shouldn't have been a red card, both massive changing decisions, neither of which worked out well for Bournemouth. So very disappointing. Ben, 2-2. Okay. I'd take a draw. I would 100% take a draw. You might as well, if you can take a risk. Actually, this is a good question. I was thinking, like, if we were, say, 1-1 with, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to go, do you want, in a game like this where you're probably not expecting anything, do you try and go all out for the 3 points, risking losing everything? Or do you sit in to sort of like try and hold on for the draw? Because over the course of the season, if you go all out every time, you only need 1 in every 3 of those to come out in a win for it to work out in your favour. Because obviously you lose a point, but you have the chance to gain 2. If it happens 50-50, then you should always go all out. But given we're generally the smaller team, it's an interesting predicament. So we do have Alan. Hello, Alan. Predicting a 1-1. I take a 1-1. I think it's been funny on the Cherries in Focus shows that there's been a lot of positivity from Bournemouth fans. I think it's always the case, but we recorded this one on our most recent one on Tuesday, episode 6, and there's many a day before the game actually kicks off. So you've got all the hype, you've got all the excitement. We focus on ourselves, obviously. So it'll be interesting. So there's people are predicting 2-1. Some people that are very pleased with themselves are predicting 2-0, 3-1, 3-2. I think it will be high score. I think it'll be a high scoring game. I predicted 4 goals. But yeah, when it comes closer to the actual match and you're looking at the Spurs lineup, you're probably going, I don't know. These guys are scary. I don't think we're necessarily going to win. As a that's why I get called Happy Clappers. The one time I got called out mainly as a Happy Clapper was a guy on Twitter who I kind of reacted incorrectly with. Was very annoyed that I was being called a Happy Clapper. It's the first and last time I will lash out on Twitter at someone, or at least I hope so. I'm far too realistic to be a Happy Clapper. Now, for just to warn those of you, in all likelihood, because I'm not watching this on TV, I'm watching this through, through my computer. So inevitably, I'm going to be behind those of you that are watching this on TV. So as such, if there's been a goal of some kind, I would, as much as I'm sure you want to put it straight into the chat, I would appreciate those of you that are going to be sticking with me. And if there's a goal, wait until I see it, and then we can talk about it, chat about it. You can put your thoughts in the comments. But that's just my humble personal request. But yeah, there we go. But as I said, I'm probably going to be a bit behind the rest of you. So it's 12:29 according to my clock. So I'd imagine they'll be kicking off in less than 60 seconds. I'm probably not going to see that for another couple of minutes, but I will tell you when they kick off on my screen. Right, let me get ready to change the banner. Thank you very much for all of you that are watching along, that are joining me for this. I'm not expecting big numbers today. It's a home game and it's the early kickoff. Most of the people that are watching this and they're not at the stadium are probably at the pub. So, but thank you very much for those that are joining me for Bournemouth versus Spurs, which should be kicking off any moment now. Like I said, some of you have probably already seen it kick off. I'm just going to be a bit behind. I don't know how far behind, but I'll let you know when things have kicked off. Any last thoughts from James? There's so much corruption in football. When was the last time we had a penalty? And when was the last time a smaller clubs in the Premier got a decision they shouldn't have had? Yeah, to an extent. But, I mean, I don't think it's quite that bad in terms of what you might call corruption, but we certainly are overdue a penalty. We're massively overdue a penalty. Penalty robots from the promotion season, but I think we got tons. But you know why we got tons in that promotion season is because we were always in the opposition box. You spend that time in your opponent's box, you're going to get penalties. We got a few soft ones, to be fair, in that season. And kick off. Just the kick off on my screen. There we go. First half is underway. Early ball up the right hand side from Aarons gets put out. Any other comments that I missed. Tottenham dressing like Leeds United. I mean, to be fair, they've had that white kit for just as long. Well, I don't know whether it's just as long. Remember going, the song got sent off. Travers played a worldie, and none of us knew who it was. Yeah, that was the game. That wasn't just Son that got sent off. Was it Son? Son got sent off for something going up against Adam Smith, I think, if I remember. But it wasn't just him. It was defender they brought on at half-time got sent off within 8 minutes as well. They went down to 9 men. Spurs are playing it around the back a lot. Oh, that was very close. We were all over them. We had about 3 or 4 players in their box, and we've won it back again quickly. Billing on the ball, passing out to Christie. Christie tries to get the cross in. It falls to Billing, who's in their box, and we get a corner. This is what I was talking about. We've got to pounce on if they make any errors. They're going to want to pass it around the back a lot. We've got to try and make the most of those opportunities. Oh, it was Lerma. Ah, right. Okay. That was it. Yes. Oh, my connection got a bit fuzzy there. So, Christie with the corner. In the box it comes. Doesn't beat the first man. Headed away by Richarlison. Rothwell passes it back to Aarons, who puts it wide back to Christie again. Plays it to Rothwell, who dummies and runs through 2 players and gets caught by the third, but it's a throw-in. Nice start there from Rothwell as well. Love to see it. Playing the ball around at the back. No, my connection. Oh, I don't have too many issues. This is not the cleanest. Right, I'm back. Son's charging forward. 1-2 with Maddison. Son in the box. Plays the ball in, and it's blocked by Kelly. That was close. A little bit of luck there for Spurs, but that was okay in the end. Oy, oy, oy. Sorry, my connection was getting a bit rubbish. I'll be a little bit cleaner now. Right, for those of you who catch me along, sorry, not talking, just trying to sort out my my connection. 3 minutes. I'm on 3 minutes 11. Yeah, Foyth with a 2-footed. That was absolutely right. So 3 minutes 20 on the clock. Solanke's got the ball in the right corner. Back to Semenyo, who's trying to run through. Plays a nice ball, but too far in front of Solanke. As we all know, Lerma is a miracle. He did the smart thing and didn't really sound. Yeah, well, to be fair, I think he was he was lying on the floor trying to make it look as bad as possible, which is fairly typical for well, certainly for Lerma and for a lot of South Americans. Aaron's combining with Rothwell on the right-hand side. Oh, dear. Getting technical issues again. Right, hopefully that settles. Right, I was a bit behind. I've caught up. Right. Yeah, it's mine. I'm not so sure about, but right, I'm just about to hit the 5-minute mark. Thankfully, I haven't really missed anything. Apologies, I'm getting technical issues on my end. Hopefully, things will settle down for me. I'm not sure we gave Jeff enough credit. I think he must have played a world record number of minutes on a yellow without getting a second. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he did. He was he got a few unnecessary yellows. Speaking of unnecessary yellows, Neto against Liverpool in the last game just kept shouting at the ref. Just got right up in his face and just kept on going on about that penalty decision, which should never have been a penalty. But you can't just stand at the ref and talk his ear off and not expect to get a yellow card. Which was stupid that he did, particularly as he then was sort of doing a bit of time wasting at moments. And you just think, dude, you're just begging to get that second yellow. I think it was third season before he got second yellow, so he knew how to calm down. Yeah, I mean, I think he knew just when to not go in for a tackle as well is always just the thing to make sure that, you're being sensible in that regard. So 6 minutes gone, no goals. No really clear-cut chances from either side, unless I've missed one. Spurs are certainly passing around quite nicely, and you've got to make sure that your players are right on the ball with Semenyo. They're not necessarily sort of coming back quickly enough after his press, but a good interception there from Zabarnyi. Zabarnyi, what have people thought about him so far? Because I think I don't think he had the greatest game against West Ham. I think he was okay. It's very clear that he has at least a bit of a weakness from set pieces. I think just in combination with a lot of the team that just didn't do well enough to stick with their men against Liverpool. But I think Zabarnyi was particularly culpable for letting his men get good runs, good jumps. But he's clearly got a lot about him. Bournemouth with the ball at the back. Kelly playing a long one over the top, looking for Cliver or Solanke, but that one goes too far, straight to the keeper. Spurs really trying to pull us in with this, but I think the press has been comfortable, has been sensible as well. I don't think it's gone too outrageous. Poor pass there from Sarr, completely misses Richarlison. Ball goes back to Neto, who plays it over the top of Son to Aarons, who keeps hold of the ball under a challenge, and then plays another lovely ball long to Kirkes, who takes a lovely touch with his chest. Cliver was right behind him, but he does do really well there. Kelly with another long ball, which is going miles wide. And this is the thing, Kelly just still has a lot to work on. Kelly has a lot to work on with his passing because he'll pull off a good pass, but he plays so many long balls that go to no one. He can't keep doing it. Rothwell going up against Maddison. Good pressing, but he kicks him and doesn't get the ball. Easy foul to give. Alan, how's Lerma doing for Butler so far? Well, I think he got man of the match in their first game against Sheffield United. Or at least he was the person that was sort of picked out as being very impressive in that first game. One on the second. Good tackle there from Cliver on Maddison. Let's not play out from the back too much, and we've lost it again. Ball from Maddison into Richarlison. He turns in the box, goes wide to Kulusevski. Kulusevski taking on Kirkes. Pulled back to Porro. To Kulusevski. To Bissouma in the box. Goes to Maddison. Maddison turns, completely swipes at it, and it bounces off Aarons. It looked to me like Aarons had his arm close to his chest and it sort of scuffed off his arm, but not penalty worthy by any means. Yeah. He's pulling his arm back and it sort of bounces. It bounces up. Yeah, but it hits him above the line. It hits him about here. And if it's above that line on the shirt, they can't give it as a penalty. Spurs still in our box now with a run in from Udogie, who is tackled by Billing. Is that Billing? Yes, it was. Very lovely block. Yeah, t-shirt line. That's the word I was looking for. T-shirt line. Zab's in weird with someone running at him. He looks commanding, but a set piece he seems like presence, which is a bit. Yeah, it's weird. Speaking of which, Spurs have got a corner. I think it's the first one of the match. Let's see what we can do in defending this one. Ball goes, well, not a very good ball in. Goes back, Son heads it back to Porro, who hoofs it into the box. And no one's there. Neto picks it up. Early long kick from Neto, trying to find Kluivert. Goes to Romero, who doesn't really do much with the header. Solanke barges into him while he's in the air. I don't know how that's not a foul. I don't know how that's not a foul. Like, so you can go to compete, but Solanke doesn't jump for that. He completely takes out Romero in the air, and I'm almost a bit surprised that the ref isn't looking at more than just a foul there. That is just like that's a that's an instant yellow card in rugby. Tackling someone when they're in the air like that. Is that yellow or is it red card in rugby? I'm pretty sure it's a yellow. Tackling someone in the air and not controlling them down to the ground is an immediate yellow card. And that was not good from Solanke. That could have been very bad for Romero. I'm surprised that wasn't given as a foul. But the ball is with Bournemouth at the back. Yeah, but very naughty. Otherwise, I'd be begging for a card. Absolutely. Neto on the ball. Dummies it from Richarlison. Don't hold on too long, mate. There we go. Plays it to Aarons, who's in a bit of space. Aarons doing the Adam Smith run, which I love to see. Ball from Christie's behind Kirkes, but it reaches Kluivert, who's bombing on down the left-hand side. Are you going to pass it? He does. Goes to Kirkes. Goes for the 1-2, but it bounces off Porro, and he takes the corner. I'm pleased that Kluivert actually passed it to Kirkes there. The amount of times Kirkes has made that overlapping run for Kluivert in friendlies and matches, and Kluivert's just not passed it. It's good that he actually did that. Almost combined nicely, but we do have a corner. Bournemouth's first corner of the game, 12 minutes and 21 seconds in. Kluivert taking it from the left-hand side, driven low and hard, headed out, doesn't get past the second man. Aarons lobs it forward again to Kluivert, who just about gets that under control. And it's with Christie, and the game sort of normalizes, passing it around the back. Neither team has looked like they're going to concede yet, I would say. But, Spurs have looked more dangerous once they've got into the box. Bournemouth haven't really got there yet. But early days, kind of to be expected, I think, at this point. Good pressing from Billing. It's a foul on Maddison, but it's a good position to give that foul away just inside their half. And Postecoglou shaking his head. He's not happy with that one. I think Ange's straightforwardness, I think, in some of his interviews is going to be something that people enjoy this season. Already had a few nice one-liners so far this season. I think there was a that's a handball. No. Ball went long, goes to Son, goes to Maddison. That's got to be a goal. No. We'll get a little bit lucky there. Very lucky. Neto tries to get it, make a pass that isn't really on. Maddison intercepts it. I thought he handballed it, but he doesn't. He hits it off the back of his foot, falls to Son. Son plays Maddison back in. Maddison should score. He's 1-on-1. But actually, no, that is an incredible tackle from Max Aarons. Incredible tackle from Max Aarons. Coming in from behind, but just clips the ball, I think, as he's going through. Neto manages to divert it up. Richarlison tries to head it back on target, but fails, and Neto claims it. That is the thing so far. Neto, it's not like Neto hasn't made mistakes for us over the entirety of last season. Neto made mistakes. He just never got punished for it. Already this season, he spilled for Liverpool's third goal. He's set up that opportunity for Spurs. I think he did one of those similarly against Liverpool. Was that Liverpool or West Ham? Can't remember. I'm sure he made a mistake in one of those games that set up a chance for the opposition. Neto passing game, he needs to not. He needs to stop dallying on the ball so much. That does rely on his teammates making sure that they're in space, but he can't keep doing that. Sarr going up against Rothwell on the left-hand side. He does well to get him past the Oh no, sorry, Udoji going up against Rothwell, who does very well. Goes to Billing, who passes it to Christie, who goes for a long ball, trying to find Cliver, but Porro gets in the way. I think the midfielder's done quite well to start with, but Spurs have got through it a little bit too easy at times. Cliver running forward. Great slide tackle from Kirkes. Lovely slide tackle from Kirkes. Love to see that. Sarr and Bissouma and Christie going up against there, which then passes to Sarr. Goes back to Romero. Porro going over to Cliver on the right side. Christie let Bissouma get in front of him too easily. Sarr on the ball, plays it through to Maddison, who scores. Oh dear. Not a good start. Let's just wait and see on this offside. But not good. A little bit too easy to get through on midfield. What was I talking about? I think I sort of liked at midfield, but it was a bit too easy to get through at times, and that was exactly what happened. Christie ends up on the wrong side of his man, far too easy against Bissouma. Why are you coming at him from the wrong side? Billing completely loses Sarr, and oh yeah, it's not even close. Wow, that is comfortably a goal. That's not even close. Oh, I was really wanted to bring Maddison in, but good movement, made it look easy. Yeah, I was just having a look and seeing, but yeah, it's comfortably onside. But that's what happens when you don't track your men properly. I do think that Neto should do better there. Neto should do better. I really, it's like you look at that again. Neto should save that. Maddison barely touches it, and just manages to just poke it past. And I really do think Neto should save that. And that's the second one already this season. But yeah, just not following you, man. Maddison's the number 10. So that means you have Rothwell that could follow him, and you have the defenders that need to be aware of him. And he just ghosts through and is completely ignored. And I think it was Kelly that is just not in line as well. That could have been a tight offside call, but Kelly's just way too far back. Zabani charging forward. They're trying to make a ball run in for Cliver. Very nice. Well done, Zabani there. Cliver on the ball, about to get in the box, tries to get it in, doesn't get it past the second man. Billing with the header. Semenyo doesn't quite catch it, falls to Kirkes on the left-hand side. Puts the ball in the box. Good header out. And Bournemouth have a throw-in on the left-hand side. Kelly plays it quickly to Kirkes, who loses it. Need to press that. Not done well enough. They played that out far too easily. That press needs to be a lot more organised. In that situation, you need everyone charging forward. In the end, we did not have everyone pushing in the way that they should have for that. Defence needs to be better in that goal. Yep, I would say so. But I think the midfield also needs to be doing better for that. That's all round a very avoidable one. Christie doesn't Christie doesn't do well enough with Bissouma. Billing doesn't follow Sarr. Sarr's the one that plays the ball in, and then Maddison. There's 3 players that could have trapped Maddison, and none of them did. And then Neto could have saved it. I think Neto hasn't covered himself in glory with that one. So just about hit 20 minutes, and it is 1-0 to Spurs. A nice advantage here played, though, which it was kind of a weird series of events there, but in the end, Bournemouth have it on the halfway line. Zvani plays it through to Aarons, who's making a lot of Adam Smith-type runs. Plays the ball through to Billing, but it gets poked away by Udoji for another corner. Shame they decided to get into their box after a goal down, but at least we know we can. Yeah, I would agree with that. Steve, is that Sean Cooper there on the bench with Andoni? They're very quick defensive, need to be a bit tricksy and stand them up rather than bowling behind. Well, yeah, to a point, but you need to use that as your option because if you never stretch them behind, then they never have a reason to sit back. Christie with a loopy corner falls to Zabani. Zabani kicks it and it falls to Clivert. Clivert tries a couple of shots, but I think he gets given for handball. I think a foul was given for handball there by Clivert. Interesting decision of a corner there from Christie. Very clever. You can't hit the first man if you fire it over everyone. But yeah, something looked like it was close to working there. One long ball there beats half the team, which was frustrating from the goalkeeper. Sarr just walks off Billing and receives the ball in an acre of space. A decent level of press, but I don't know why Rothwell is the one ending up over on that left-hand side. I suppose it's because Madison went over there. Aarons ends up clearing it long quite sensibly because he really didn't want to take a risk, which is fair enough. Solanke going up against Van der Ven almost nicks the ball off him. Vicario looks like a decent keeper, I've got to say. He's not taking any silly risks on the ball. He's just making stuff happen. Another instance there. Rothwell, just the wrong side of Madison. Son gets played in. Zabani tracking him into the box. Plays it back to Sarr, who shoots badly. And Neto falls on it. But that's another instance. I thought we were doing okay in midfield until the first goal. But we've just got players that are trying to get in front of their man too much. I understand you want to try and win the ball. And it's a good, there are times to make sure that you get in front. But with a team that's this guy got kind of pace and fluidity up front, just make sure that your goal side of your man first. Make it harder for them. Don't make it so easy. Sarr on the ball plays it on the right side to Kulusevski, going up against Kirkes. Good block by Kirkes. And then Son's on the ball. Play back to Van der Ven. Udoji, Van der Ven. It's just a little bit too easy. Oh, and then Udoji completely messes it up. Nice dummy from Aarons. Gets the ball forward. Christie on the ball. Does well there. Under a decent bit of pressure. Plays it back to Neto, to Kelly. Yeah, it's a combination of all of them at the moment in terms of the midfield. They're kind of trying to be a little bit too proactive when doesn't necessarily call for it. Yeah, to a point, but I'd say it's a whole team thing at the moment in a way. Kirk is under pressure, plays it back to Neto, who just whacks it out, even though I think Zabani was an easy option. I think after a good season, I think you're looking at Neto and sort of going, is he maybe one of the easiest places we could look to improve next season? Because he's not. He was okay last season, and I think he was roughly on par with his expected goals conceded, or post-shot expected goals conceded rather. But oh, that's not good. One ball over the top with a flick on. Okay, poor touch from Kulusevski, but he's going up against Kirkes and Kelly. Kirkes slides in but doesn't touch him, and then slides in again to block the cross. That was frustrating. One ball over the top pretty much beat the entirety of the team there. Hi, Ethan. Thanks for joining us. Don't worry too much about it. If the signal's not great, I know signal's generally never good in a football ground, but thanks for listening in. I hope you're well. I hear Foley making good noises before the game. I know he's there today, so that'd be interesting. I'll need to check Maybe check Twitter and see if anyone's put up what kind of conversation was being had with him. So far, Spurs have just got another corner. This is their second of the game. Madison puts the ball in from the right-hand side. Outswinger. Headed away nicely by Kelly. Falls to Son, who shoots and fires a decent bit wide. Looked good for a second. But yeah, that's plenty wide. The fact that that's not the first time that the ball gets cleared and it falls to a Tottenham player is concerning. I would be keeping an eye. I would be sort of like maybe highlighting that, the fact that whatever our defensive setup is at corners, you need to have someone on the edge of the box. It's all good and well having 11 men in the penalty area, but I would want to make sure that there's someone on the edge of the box to deal with if the ball comes out. We had enough of that issue against Arsenal when we conceded in the 96th minute or whatever. Again, that press not working. I don't know who was meant to be following Sarr there, but no one did. I think some sort of signal needs to come out onto the Madison, puts the ball into the box, goes long, well out. Something's not right at the moment about the press, which is frustrating. There's at least one player that's not following their instructions, I think. Goal kick played short by Neto. Zabani has to go back to him, though, which means this is going to be... No, that's Kelly to Kirkes. I expected that to go long. Kirkes with a nice first 2 touches, but he's going backwards. But he plays it to Zabani. Possession's relatively even so far, possession stats, rather, which makes sense. Nice ball from Christie up the line, but yeah, Semenyo's not getting near that, unfortunately. "27 minutes gone. And then you spent a lot of time sitting down. I think there's a lot of conversation going on. Oh, how do we not win the ball back there? Oh, come on, ref. Semenyo and Christie doing a lot to try and hassle Basuma there, but in the end, Basuma goes down and it's a foul given. We're being aggressive at times, which I like to see, but just not necessarily in the right moments. Yeah, Semenyo there with not necessarily the best action there to concede the foul. Spurs fans, I'm not actually listening to it. I decided to turn off the volume for it. But I'm sure they're making a good noise. I mean, they are winning. Billing on the ball, doing nicely. Passes it behind Rothwell, but we keep hold of the ball. Zabani to Rothwell, back to Zabani. Doesn't need to do that, put him under a lot of pressure. Kelly trying to play up the line to Kluivert, who does keep the ball in. Kluivert's still on it, being hassled by Sarr, but he does very well. And this is the strength that I know he can do. Lovely stuff. Billing on the right-hand side, being pressured by Udoji, waiting for a ball beyond. Semenyo with it. Semenyo into the box, and that is deflected for a throw-in. I feel we could have made something more of that. Yeah, that was for the World Cup. I think for the Premier League, it has been for some time. It's just on passes. That's how they deal with possession. It's literally on passes. They don't deal with the clock. So if one team is past 600 and the other team's past 400, it'll be a 60-40. Doesn't matter how long or how short those passes are. Although 600 and 400 passes would be a bit outrageous, I think, for a match. But sorry, Trapiche. Do you think we'll see changes at halftime? Probably not. I don't think you necessarily need to change the men in this situation. I think you need to change the instructions a little bit. We are struggling to get up the pitch as fluently as I think we would like to. The long balls haven't come very often. And when they have happened, they've not been that successful. Did have a moment there which came from one player really winning his battle, which was Cliver. Won his battle with Sarr, came in field, bombed forward, passed it out to Billing. Billing overlapped to Semenyo, and Semenyo tried to make something happen, but ended up not really making much to happen. Not making too much happen, rather. Yes, everything's been mostly working, at least when we have the ball. Up to a point, Ben, I think I'd say. The fact that we haven't really... Have we had it? I think we've had one shot that was just then from Semenyo, which got blocked. But that's a Fritzloff on making 60-65. Hello, Steve. Fast. High stuff from the Cherries. This is how that big holes in midfield for Spurs to exploit. Absolutely. That's where the first goal came from. I mean, it wasn't a massive hole, but it was midfielders not doing their job and sticking with their men. Kirkers with the ball throw into the box, which is dealt with relatively comfortably, but it falls to Rothwell. Plays it to Aarons. Looks for the ball in, but doesn't play it. Goes to Semenyo on the right-hand side instead, who plays the ball in very poorly. But Christie wins it back. That's what you want to see. If things go wrong, at least work to get the ball back. Got Kirkers on the left-hand side working well with Clivert. Semenyo's come inside as well. Kirkes, Clivert pushes inside, looking for the right ball, tries to get it to Solanke, who doesn't quite compete well enough with Van der Ven, but was flagged offside anyway, and didn't look like the right ball. Players were making good runs for sort of reverse passes, and they weren't found. Just getting a replay of the goal, and okay, Madison gets a good contact on it, but you'll see, like, it's not that fast, and it's also quite close to his hand. I think he just sort of like gets a little bit of a pat on it. I think he could still do better. Clivert wanted so much more from that ball. Body language was funny. So there, Van der Ven beats Christie in the press a little bit too easily. And we now have Kulusevski on the ball going up against Kirkes, who I think who's had a good start, I would say. Kirkes has done really well against Kulusevski. He's a player that I would have expected to have more problems with. We'll force them back to halfway. Madison's quite deep, plays it to Porro? Porro finding himself in central midfield. Bissouma running forward. That's good. I thought a foul would be given, but it wasn't. I think the ref saw that he went over it too easily. So we win the ball back. Christie now on the ball after receiving it from Rothwell. Christie almost falls over the ball, but thankfully does keep it and plays it back to Aarons. Good work there all around, I think, defensively. But Bissouma there doing what I think he definitely can do, and you've got to be careful of it. Kelly with a nice ball over the top to Aarons, who's going up against Udoji now. Aarons, just don't lose it, mate. And he wins the foul. I think a little bit generous, but I think Aarons may have been taking some lessons from Adam Smith on that one. To be fair, he waited for the contact. There was a lot of contact, and eventually he just fell over. And I think it's a pretty easy free kick to give. We now have a good attacking opportunity. Just about to hit the 34 minutes on the clock now. Rothwell and Christie over this one. Ball goes in. Billings on it, heads it straight at the keeper. Shot on target. And you certainly don't expect too much from Billing with his headers, but yeah, the runs that Aarons makes, where he basically hits the ball with the outside of his right foot to just ease him around his opposition. It's just Aarons is just another version of Adam Smith. He's just Adam Smith again. He really is. Basically, everything about this game just makes me go, yeah, that's just Adam Smith, but in a younger body. Oh, Kirkes, got to be careful. That's got to be a foul. Ball over the top from Neto. Sarr absolutely clatters into Kirkes without taking anything of the ball. That was very risky, though. Got to be careful. But yeah, pretty obvious free kick. Kelly going with a long ball, looking for Solanke, who falls over. Christie tries to get the second ball, almost does. The S falls to Solanke. Solanke's still on it. Plays out to Semenyo. It's on his weaker foot, though. He doesn't really have the options. He comes inside Semenyo. He's looking for... Oh, that's a great tackle from Romero. Although I'm worried Semenyo might have got an injury from that. But there's a counter on, and it's 6-on-4. Ball through to Richarlison, who ends up going one-on-one with Neto. Oh, great cover from Aarons. I think that's Aarons with the cover. No, it's not, because Aarons is on the ball now. Who the hell was covering that? Semenyo is down still. I'm just looking back. I think this was a... Yeah, I think Semenyo might struggle with that. That looks like that really hurt his ankle. Kelly. Oh, it's Rothwell that bombs back on here. Yeah, that's fantastic work from Rothwell. So Kelly sort of gets in the way of Richarlison. Richarlison somehow dummies Kelly with the slide, completely loses track of the ball and tries to flick it behind. Rothwell gets involved, and it goes over Son, and Kirkes whacks it clear. That was... I don't know what the hell they're looking for with a handball. Yeah, I think so. I think the Dom does great. I think it looked like Romero got the ball initially, but I think he actually scissors Semenyo, and it really should have been given as a foul. I think initially it looked like a good tackle, but I do think that should have been given as a foul, because I don't think he gets... Even if he does get the ball first, when your other leg comes in with that scissoring motion and he completely sort of crumples up on Semenyo's ankle, I think you kind of got to give it as a foul. Oh, that's the handball they're asking for. So when Richarlison somehow nutmegs Kelly, when Richarlison somehow nutmegs Kelly, Kelly falls to the ground and his arm falls onto the ball. And they're asking for a penalty? I mean, if that's a penalty, the game's freaking gone. Okay, that is unbelievable that they're even claiming for that. So many are jogging off the pitch, which is great. Yeah, Rothwell coming back fantastically. That was Kirkes that hooked it away rather than Aarons. Aarons was the one that received... When the ball fell from the sky from Kirkes' clear, Aarons was the one directly under it. So, yeah, great job from Rothwell doing his tracking. Yes, there you go. It was the scissoring, I think, that definitely... was the issue with that one, without a doubt. Long ball up over the top. Billing flicks it onto Kluivert, who keeps going. Kluivert then runs straight into Udogie. He can do better with that. He can do a lot better. Son's now on the ball in the middle of the pitch. Ball goes back to Bissouma. Billing's tracking him. Going up against Rothwell now. Maddison over on the right-hand side with Aarons. Son in the box up against Zabani. Nice little tackle there from Zabani. Aarons up against Maddison, completely loses out, and that's got to be a foul and maybe should be a yellow card. Aarons is really stupid here. He's really stupid there. And in the end, he rugby tackles Maddison to the ground, and I don't know how that's not a yellow card. I really don't know how that's not a yellow card. Trying to be too clever for his own good. He's trying to win a throw off him, but really, if he just looks up and he's got a man right behind him that he could pass it to. Zabani's right there. Rather than the instant clear, rather than anything else, he ends up giving away a foul, and it's essentially a corner. It's like a penalty corner in hockey, sort of thing. Okay, no, it's a bit closer to the corner flag than that. But again, you've got 11 people that are within 10 yards of the goal. Ball goes over everyone. Richarlison's there at the back post, but doesn't really get anything on it. Well, he heads it down, but it's straight into the side netting, and it's nowhere near going in. But again, there, similar way to all the corners, you've got all 11 men within 10 yards of the goal. And you've got 3 Spurs players lined up on the edge of the penalty box that could have easily got that ball if it fell to them. Ball long, Kluivert does really well to win that and then plays it into Billing. And he's trying to fit it through the eye of a needle when Kirkes is in acres of space to the left. Christie gets completely done by Basuma unnecessarily. Great work from Semenyo. That's not a foul. Christie's back on the ball. Come on, waiting for that pass, looking for it. Is he going to shoot? He shoots. Easy save. Keeper makes it look dramatic when it wasn't. Maybe could have tried to make something else happen, but fair enough. He went for the shot. He is Brazilian's number 9, Richarlison, but he's only scored 1 goal last season, so he's not doing a great job as Tottenham's. Spurs continue to play out the back from that press just wasn't initiated properly. Kluivert's nowhere near, and Solanke's the only one in front of 3 men, so that was easily beaten. 41 minutes on the clock. Match stats popping up. 4 shots on target to 2 in Spurs' favour at the moment. The fact that we've got 2 shots on target, I suppose, is an improvement on many a game that we had against the bigger sides last season. Although, to be fair, in this match, we were 1-0 up at half-time. Not 1-0 down last season. But 3.5 minutes to go plus stoppages. 1-0 is not a terrible scoreline to go in with at half-time, and I think there's a lot to be improved on with the current players. Without making any changes, there's a lot to improve on in that press. Yeah, great work from Semenyo there. Just showing a replay of the Christie shot. Showing a replay while Bournemouth are practically in Spurs' penalty area. Producers for football games really need to up their game. I am so frustrated every time I watch a football match. They decide to put a replay in when the game is basically underway. Something's happening and you've got no idea what's going on. I'm so frustrated with just the general ability of producers on football matches. Anyway, Bournemouth have got a corner. Rothwell taking it from this side this time. And again, Spurs have got 3 men right at the front. There isn't a single Bournemouth player in that front group. There's 3 Spurs players. They haven't beat those Spurs players most of the time. Only one ball did when it went miles over everyone, really, to the back post. Zabani on the ball at the back, trying it to Kluivert, who flicks it on, and Billing almost there, but is well defended by Romero, unsurprisingly. Very good defender. And Vicario comes out and claims it. Now, it's in this situation where Bournemouth need to sort of know exactly what they're going to do at times, because Kluivert is not following Porro there at all, although he kind of gets a little bit lucky in that he gets hit at him, but it's deemed a handball, so it's not. So a foul is given. But, that's not a press. That's just not a press. You've got the entirety of the back four, and the goalkeeper is being marked by 2 Bournemouth players in Billing and Solanke. You can't work a press like that. Kluivert needs to be closer. Christie needs to be closer. Semenyo needs to be closer. Spurs, when they're given the time and the space, certainly have the players to pass around us, as they have done just then. Some good work from Basuma, Son, and Maddison. Oh, Rothwell a little bit unlucky there, not winning the ball back from Son. But now Sarr's on the ball on the right-hand side. Played to Kulusevski going up against Kluivert. Kluivert using his body to get in the way. Does well. But don't foul him, mate. Forces the ball back to Porro. Yeah, some really good defensive work there from Kluivert. Ball's now with Van de Ven and Udogie on the left-hand side. Now Maddison. Billing misses the tackle, and now Maddison is in acres of space. He looks for the ball in. Almost finds Porro, who found himself in the centre-forward position. You cannot be... This is Billing will put in a lot of really good tackles, but if he dives in like that against their chief playmaker in Maddison, will be in trouble. Maddison was inches away from finding Porro 8 yards from goal. 5 minutes of added time. 5? I mean, Semenyo went down injured for a brief period. There was the goal. 5 minutes? Long ball from Kelly up to Solanke, who's going up against Romero. He's not got enough players to support him there, I don't think. Nice back heel from Romero to find Porro, who beats the entirety rest of the press by passing it to Basuma over the top with no issue. Now Kelly up against Richarlison. Oh, Kelly. Stonewall yellow card. He's claiming he didn't touch him. Kelly didn't need to do that. Kelly goes in for a slide tackle here. He could have just run with him. To be fair to Kelly, I really don't think he really even touched Richarlison. He was saying that, like, oh no, I'm innocent. I didn't touch him, and he maybe just got the slightest, tiniest bit of a touch on him, and Richarlison takes any opportunity to just go over. But I mean, I don't care if he doesn't touch him. It's a stupid tackle. You deserve a yellow card for it. Contact does not equal foul. True. I would say no contact generally means it's not a foul, but at the same time, I think it was such a stupid tackle. Maddison with the ball in the box, cleared well, falls to Basuma, who scoops it into the air, and Neto drops it twice, but then claims it. Now he tries a long ball. I think he's searching for Christie. Christie with a decent touch. Oh, magical touch from Christie, who plays it to Semenyo, who receives it back. But the ball from Semenyo was fired at Christie, who takes a strong touch. And then someone, whoever that is, just fires it at Christie. We managed to keep hold of the ball somehow. Solanke loses the ball to Romero stupidly, and now it's a 3-on-4. Kelly, wake up. Thank you. Just about dealt with that. Now Solanke on the ball. Gets it to Semenyo. A little bit of an open period of the match now. Kluivert on the ball. Semenyo's on the left-hand side. Kerkez is now on the left as well. Kluivert to Christie. Christie looking for the pass back. Goes to eventually get it to Semenyo. Keep the ball in, man. Run for it. I don't understand why Semenyo decided to run at 50% there. He could have sprinted to the ball, got it, and then passed it, but we managed to keep hold of it. Kerkez to Billing. Semenyo needs to get onside. Billing with the ball in the box. Flicks off two people and cleared. Well, that was a fast-paced end-to-end bit to finish the to come towards the end of this first half. 2 minutes to go. Kelly with the ball up the pitch. Billing believes he's offside, so leaves it. Porro is under pressure from Kluivert to put it out for a throw. Kluivert with the quick throw to Billing, and is defended well by Sarr and Romero. Kluivert didn't need to make that throw. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Kluivert needs to do that. Yeah, not happening. Nothing in that at all. I can't hear the crowd going away because I've just muted it, but I have a feeling there may well have been some shouts from Bournemouth fans about that one, but there's nowhere close to a penalty for me. But we've won the ball back very quickly with 1 minute left to go in the game. Kerkez on the ball on the left-hand side. Back with Kelly. Rothwell slotted himself between the two centre-backs. Out to Zabarnyi. To Aarons. Trying to be too clever for his own good again. You don't need to force it in that position. Just pass it back to Zabarnyi and we'll recycle possession. I don't understand. I don't understand what he's trying to do there. Udoji with the throw. Son gets wiped out by Christie. Oh, I hope they re-show that first touch from Christie. Massive, mile in the air, long ball from Neto, and a wonderful Cruyff turn touch from Christie. I think I couldn't quite tell. Here we play on Kluivert on the left-hand side, looking to shoot, but it falls to Billing. Oh, What a chance! Oh, what a great chance. Clivert manages to have the ball on the end of the ball. It flicks off Basuma, and then Billing tries to curl it into the far corner, and that's the half-time whistle gone. That was close there. But again, frustrations. The flipping camera pans to a drone shot over the stadium, and then it quickly hard cuts back to the game because there's an attack on, and the idiot has flicked the button. And suddenly, despite what could have been an interesting build-up, which I have no idea what happened, the producers have messed things up again. And just, you're trying to turn it into more of a spectacle than it already is. All the entertainment is on the pitch. Stick to that. I don't get it. Ah, dear. Anyway, that is half time. AFC Bournemouth 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Right. Get your thoughts together. Just have a think about what that was, what we might need. Have a look at some of the stats. And then I will be back shortly. Just going to take a minute break just to spend a penny. Be back shortly. Welcome back. Half time, AFC Bournemouth 0, Spurs 1. Let's get our thoughts together. Pop down your ideas in the comments. Let's start by moving over to SofaScore and bringing up some of those early stats in terms of the. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit further and try and bring things together. So there we go, make things a bit clearer. In terms of Bournemouth, let's see, Billing showing up statistically quite nicely along with Neto. Neto obviously made a few saves, but I think he has made some mistakes as well. Do definitely need to see more from Solanke. As for Spurs, I mean, just look at the stronger numbers in that regard. Midfield, relatively dominant. I think ours definitely is struggling at the moment in terms of making sure that they're initiating the press well enough. But like I said, I don't think that necessarily needs a personnel change. You could make one, but I don't think you necessarily need to. I think it'd be more so just some instructions and some more clear instructions from the manager. And this is going to be one of the better teams in terms of avoiding our press and making sure they pass around it. Statistically, actually, I wouldn't mind checking out the average positions as well. So for Bournemouth at the moment, hang on, let me see. Let me just remove this banner. So at the moment on our average positions, Solanke's back here. Solanke is picking the ball up way too deep. He's not being involved enough up front. He's obviously going to be the furthest forward for a long periods, but he's not getting the ball when he's the furthest forward. This is the frustration. This is Solanke's average position. The average position where he takes a touch is on the halfway line. Semenyo is all the way up here. This is Semenyo's average position. He's the furthest forward that's taking any touches. I think that is mostly from an earlier periods in the game, and obviously he took a few touches outside the box as well when he wasn't fouled for whatever reason. But yeah, Bournemouth not getting forward enough there. As for Spurs, Richarlison again is a bit deeper. We've got Kulusevski taking a lot of touches high up, and Maddison being very involved here. A lot more coming down their left-hand side. And I would say that's pretty much the same with Bournemouth. I think we're doing... The reason why we're showing, I think, a little bit more even is just generally that I think we're picking up the ball. We're trying to spread it left to right a little bit more. Spurs feel as though they were a lot more focused down their left-hand side. Maddison is just coming onto that left-hand side so much. It's one that Rothwell is good at times, but then at other times he just falls asleep and just doesn't stick to him. Expected goals, I don't think is much of a surprise to see Spurs doing so well on this one. 1.22 to 0.43. I'm surprised we've got it that much, to be honest. Ball possession has been relatively even. Total shots not too dissimilar. But then you've got shots on target 5-2. Not great. We've had more corner kicks, but we considered more fouls. Kelly got that stupid yellow card. Far more goal kicks. 2 big chances for Spurs, none for us, one of which was missed, which I believe would have probably been Sarr's shot from about, I don't know, 15 yards out in the middle of the goal that he really should have done a lot better with. 8 shots inside the box, which is frustrating. Sorry, the doorbell just went. Hopefully someone will get that. Yeah, it's a difficult one. So far, it's been poor. It really has at times. Ah, dear. Ben, very basketball-y. Both teams going back to front. Super speed. I still think both teams to score is safe. Yeah, I didn't put anything on this game, but I will certainly be putting something on the next on the games at 3:00. Tired of biased commentators, so switching to you on. Hello. Yeah, hopefully I can. Well, it's not like I won't be biased to Bournemouth in some way, but I try and stay as neutral as I can. Yeah, it's not been the greatest so far from Bournemouth. I think that's kind of to be expected. I spoke about beforehand that I think we're going to lose, and I think that really when you take what Bournemouth want to do and you take what Spurs want to do, it's whoever can action that better, whoever has the players that have the quality to action that plan. Both of them clash in terms of like Bournemouth's desire to sort of catch the opposition in their half to create chances through that way and be a bit more direct. Spurs wanting the opposition to Spurs wanting to play the ball around the back a lot, trying to be very controlled in possession. I'm surprised Spurs haven't dominated the possession more. But I think maybe Ange understands that he doesn't need to, or he doesn't really want to play the ball around the back too much when he knows he's at risk of the opposition being quite strong in the press. So regardless, so far Spurs have just actioned their plan better than Bournemouth have. They have been far more effective getting through Bournemouth's press and then creating opportunities when they get into the opposition third. Whereas really with Bournemouth, Solanke has struggled going up against Romero, which I kind of expected. I think Romero is a fantastic centre back. But then you've got Semenyo, I think, has not got anything out of Udogie on the left-hand side. Cliver has had moments, but at times hasn't maybe made the right decision. And also just the combinations haven't really been there. There's been the odd pass, but then things tend to fall apart relatively quickly, which is certainly frustrating. Yeah, my thoughts on the final score haven't changed much. I think I could definitely still see. I could still see 3-1. Ben, you mentioned both teams to score. I'm not massively confident that we're going to score at the moment. I think there needs to be. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens at the start of the second half. There's definitely going to be ways in which we can attack this a little bit better than we have done. And I think just being faster on the break when we win the ball, trying to get up the field quicker, will be something that I think Andoni wants us to do. But yeah, it's going to be tough, particularly when you're a goal behind against a team that wants to keep the ball. It's not like going up. It's not like we're behind against Barcelona, but it's the same idea in terms of the levels. Is that we are a step below the likes of Spurs. Spurs are quite a step below the likes of, your Cities and your Barcelonas, and you could see that when you've got a team that's very comfortable with the ball, passing around with no issues, it's very difficult to get it off them. And our press hasn't been as good as it should be. I think that this is still something that requires work. I still think this is still something that Iraola is going to want to steadily improve more and more. But it's about timings. It's about pouncing on the mistakes. And also, it's about the midfield not losing their men. Because I do think that Christie has, at times, just not stayed goal side when he should have done. I think Rothwell is doing a pretty decent job, but I think he's struggling to cover a lot of space when the other players in front of him aren't really doing as well as they should be doing. And then Billing maybe at times also needs to stop diving in. But players are out. Referee's got the whistle to his lips. And we are underway for... Oh, hang on. That's not the right score. I changed the wrong thing. There's the score. We're underway for the second half. With Bournemouth now attacking the Steve Fletcher stand. Long ball from Vicario. Zabani dealing well, as expected. Oh, we have had a change. Lewis Cook is on. I'd imagine that's Rothwell off, which is a interesting decision. I can't see that any other changes taking place. Yeah, Lewis Cook for... I find that a bit odd. I think Rothwell has had a decent job. Sorry, I missed your comment, Alan. Is it just me, or can you see Kelly hasn't played for a while? No, I don't agree with that. Personally, I think his long balls have been as much of a mixed bag / just as poor as they always have been. Him going in for that slide tackle is exactly what I'd expect from Kelly, because I think he does make those mistakes at times when he should just follow the man. He is one that enjoys a good slide tackle dive in with a slide. There's going to be a lack of match fitness without a doubt, but I don't think I've seen too much that makes me go, he's significantly worse than I have seen him playing before. But I know it costs more, but I prefer the murals in the tunnel and the hanging pictures. Makes it feel like a revolving. Ben comment there. Wouldn't agree. Looked a little ring rusty. I wouldn't argue. Looked a little ring rusty. Caught out of position a couple of times, but stuck feet in when needed as well. Just we'd run athleticism up. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do agree with you to an extent, Ben. I just feel as though there's nothing about Kelly's game so far that would make me go, that makes me think he hasn't played, because I do feel as though Kelly has been mistake prone before. But the game is on. Kluivert's bombing forward, passes it to, or tries to pass it to Kluivert, and that's Kirkes tries to pass. That's a terrible pass. And in terms of you saying stuck his feet in when needed, and made a couple of good slide tackles. Cook on for Rothwell, yeah. It wasn't just him, to be fair. He was too deep for that. I'll agree with you. But that also, again, that is something that Kelly will do when he's fit. This is the thing, is sort of what I'm saying in terms of, like, when Kelly makes mistakes, he makes it even when he's been playing for 10 games. He just makes those mistakes naturally, whether he's fit or rusty. He will just make those mistakes. He stands too deep frequently. He messes up the back line frequently. More frustrating is when he's dealing with counterattacks. But speaking of counterattacks, Bournemouth are on one. Kirkes on the left-hand side tries to play it in, bounces off Porro. Kirkes still on the ball, plays it to Kluivert in the middle. Kluivert with a pass through to Kirkes, who's looking for options, doesn't have one, tries to cross it in. Ball falls to Semenyo, who holds off Sarr. And now Lewis Cook passes it wide to Aarons. Ben, to be fair, the things I mentioned about Kelly are present even when he's not been on. Yeah. Ball in from Christie, trying to find Billing, but it's way over. A couple of nice little passages there. Some things that look like the counter's sort of on, but I do wonder about whether necessarily the attackers are making the runs you need to in that final stage. Kelly wins the ball high nicely. He's being tracked by Sarr, so he needs to keep hold of it. Billing gets taken out by Malang Sarr. Oh, come on, don't look at the ref like that. It's a clear foul. Nice little bit of footwork there by Billing. But yeah, the guys, I mean, he's what, 20? He's being a bit too keen to win that back, and just bundles into Billing. There's a couple of nice times we're winning the ball high at the pitch. Like I said, I didn't feel like the players were necessarily wrong, even if he has taken off Rothwell for Cook, which is an interesting change. But I don't think it affects us all that much either way. But clearly the plan's being executed a bit better. Decent, good halftime team talk. Christie and Cook on the ball. Cook plays it in, doesn't beat the third man. Our set pieces have been crap again. Billing pressing Udogie, but he does give him a shove in the back, and quite rightly, that's a foul. Yeah, I would just love us to put in some decent crosses now and again from set pieces. It's been very frustrating. It was the case against Liverpool. At least against West Ham, when we had corners, it didn't hit the first man. Even if we didn't make a lot of those corners, it didn't hit the first man. But it was another issue that we were like, great. It's not bad in the way that it was last season. Cook, that's a handball, but he gets away with it. But Spurs, I guess, have an advantage because they're on the ball. Good tackle from Aarons on Maddison, forces it out for a throw. Udogie with the ball in his hands for a throw on the left-hand side. Billing intercepts, takes a nice couple of touches, but hits it straight out. Well, his first touch was decent. His second touch missed the man and went out for a throw. Udogie has it again. Richarlison makes a good run, but completely misses the ball. And Cook to Kelly. Kelly with the long ball, completely misses Billing. And this is the difference between Kelly and Senesi for me. Whatever you might say about Kelly's physicality, and he's great with that, Senesi's such a better passer. It's not even close. Semenyo with some really good work. Still going, Semenyo. Passes it to almost out to Clivert, but thank you, referee. Very good refereeing. Very good refereeing, because he played the advantage, and Semenyo was off balance when he played that pass, so the ref pulled it back. Really good tackle on Udogie. Pushes up the pitch. They're just showing the replay. Bissouma almost falls over. Semenyo gets clipped by Bissouma, and when he tries to play the pass to Clivert, it goes, Andoni, don't do that. I don't want to see Iraola doing that, because he's just going to get a yellow card. Parkmany cleverly bark. What do you think the fundamental problem is with our dead ball delivery? I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't, because it's not hard. It's not hard for players. Here's the thing. Okay, if I remember this, I'll go back to it. But there is an issue, I think, with generally modern day desire for play quite low set pieces. But yeah, if I come back to it, I'll speak about it when we get back to it. So that set piece, whatever was the plan, was terrible. Christie played it to Cook, and Cook plays it about 3 miles in front of Kirkes, who loses the ball. Now, Spurs were on the attack, and then, Richarlison gets a yellow card for that. If anything, he could get a red. But he gets a yellow. Richarlison ends up taking a touch and then standing on the ball, and then lashes out to stop the counter-attack from Zabarnyi. No, it's a yellow. But it's almost a stamp from the side. That was really, really not good from Richarlison. It really should have gone all out for Ward-Prowse. It was sort of set pieces. Well, last time we scored from Ricky Corner. I don't think we're a team that can rely on having someone just good at set pieces being on the pitch. Oh, nice from Clivert. Through to Solanke. Plays it back. Oh, Semenyo, where are you, man? Gets on the ball eventually. Plays it back to Christie, but it's too loose. Semenyo should have had a tap in there. Semenyo should have had a tap in. Ball's now with Christie, who lets it run, doesn't take a touch, and it goes back to a Spurs player. Good tackle from Kelly. Ball's now with Maddison, who plays it long to Kulusevski on the right-hand side, getting a bit more basketball-y now. But now the game slows a little bit. Porro with it. Back to Kulusevski. 2v2 on that right-hand side. I think that's Malang Sarr with no real pressure. And then really stupid from Clivert. Oh, this play. Okay, Clivert does really well for this chance. Plays a nice reverse passing. Lovely turn from Solanke. Fires the ball across, and no one's there. Semenyo should be bombing in there. Because Udogie can't touch that. And neither Christie nor Semenyo have put in the effort to get in the ball in the box. That should have been a goal. That was such a good chance, and no one's there to tap it in. That was, it was begging to be put away. Oh, and there's that press just not freaking working again. Billing marking the wrong player. And now it's a counter-attack. From nothing, it's counter-attack. Madison on the ball, 20 yards out, plays it to Richarlison, who gets tackled by Zabani, who flicks it onto Semenyo, who tries to take on to Bissouma, just about keeps it, plays it back to Kluivert, who plays it longer to Solanke. This is nice. Solanke plays it to Christie on the right-hand side. If he can play this forward quickly enough, Christie, we're still in with a good chance, but he's a bit slow and he passed it backwards. We're with Billing. Kirkes going up against Kulusevski, rather. Then Billing plays it straight to Malang Sarr. And now it's a counter-attack with a 4-on-4. Richarlison tries to play it to Kulusevski, but Billing does well to intercept. This could get a bit silly in the attack versus defense here. Christie tries to play a long ball. Yeah, I think it's about time Christie came off, and we put on someone else, because I'm getting a bit frustrated with Christie just not actually able to execute any of the attacking passes that he wants to. And he's a bit slow when opportunities to go forward quicker happen. He doesn't play them forward quickly enough for me. His work rate is unquestionable. Kluivert on the left-hand side, just about to hit inside the Spurs box. He tries to get past two people, doesn't. Semenyo shoots! For a second, I thought that was the back. Well, it did hit the back of the net, but it hit the stanchion and came up behind. This is not a bad first-time shot on the weak foot from Semenyo. Oh no, it catches the side. It's really close though. Oh, that was not a bad shot at all. Right, sorry, I've been missing the comments. Ben, I'd be giving Richarlison red for that. Petulant kick out in his own frustration. Yeah, that was. Europe only shoots though. We had Harry Wilson who did nothing except set pieces, and I hated something there. And he was, we were playing with 10 men with Harry Wilson. More great stuff from Semenyo. He's pushing on, waiting for the option. He should have passed it. He doesn't. Now he does. Now Billing on the left. He tries to do something with it, but it bounces off Porro, who's very pleased that he prevented that, because my God, if we did better with that, that should have been a goal. We had an overload there, and he doesn't play it quickly enough. This is what I expected from us. If we can execute that press properly and we can win the ball back, and my God, is Semenyo really actually completely dominating Udogie now? Absolutely dominating Udogie on that side. That's the second time, very quick succession. He's just shoved him off the ball with no issue. Ethan, we have come back much better. Yeah, we have, such to an extent that Spurs are already making a double substitution. A cross comes in and the camera's not even on it. The producer on this game is having a flipping mare. The corner was taken and they were looking at the Spurs subs. Speaking of which, those substitutions are now being made, I believe. Brooks, Bernard, Christie. I'd rather have Brooks in that midfield position without a doubt. The only issue is that Christie's kind of playing as the box-to-box player, so he has quite a significant defensive responsibility. But then he's not necessarily doing that well enough, because he lost Bissouma, who was the guy that received the throw that led to the goal. Need an earlier pass, I think, in that different situation. But there was that was before the really great shot. He's looking good, and it's interesting. People just forgot about Semenyo. Like people just forgot about Semenyo. Most Bournemouth fans, I feel, because they just didn't see him. He was injured far too much last season. He did score, of course, against Leeds, but he's getting more and more confident in every game. Traore and Anthony coming on. That's an interesting set of substitutions. Nice to see Traore coming on earlier in this game, and when we're well and truly in the match as well. I saw Sarr come off for Spurs. Yeah, Christie off for Anthony. No, Kluivert. Kluivert off for Anthony and Christie off for Traore. Yep, pretty sensible set of substitutions there. And as for Spurs, I know I saw Malang Sarr come off for Højbjerg, and we also have Perisic on, but Udogie is still on the pitch, so I'd imagine that was for either Son or Richarlison. It was for Richarlison because Son's playing as the centre forward. Semenyo battling with Richarlison with Maddison. Don't know. That's maybe a bit of naivety from Semenyo, but Maddison does just flop to the floor there. Not Dango. Dango didn't come on. Unless you're talking about like other options. Jaden doesn't necessarily have the pace that some of the others do. But Traore coming on, I think is an interesting one. He'll obviously play through the middle, replacing Christie. Zabani needs to be careful there, but in the end, it works out. Aarons get back and help him. I think Zabani's had a good game, though. He's absolutely dominated Richarlison for the most part. Now he's got to contend with Son. But hey, it's still only 1 goal in it with half an hour to go. Semenyo again beating out Udogie. Ball on the left-hand side now with Perisic going up against Cook, who gets a foot in quite nicely. Semenyo turns Perisic. Traore is tackled, but he gets back and he wins the ball, but it falls to Son and he gets another deflection. And then Solanke almost wins the ball back, but it's with Basuma, who plays it to Son, who wants to shoot. He needs to get stopped. And in the end, a cross comes in and Billing intercepts very nicely. And we almost have an opportunity for counter there, but the ball is played to Kirkes far too wide. But he gets the ball back. He gets the ball from the ball boy quickly. Mazin goes down that easily. Buy him a drink. Yeah, definitely. Oh, Kelly, don't keep him onside. Sabani almost won that ball back, but left it to Maddison. Referee hasn't given anything. Maddison's not happy about it, but tough luck. Get on with the game. Almost went Angie. Tough luck. Get on with the game. Perisic on the left, playing it over through to Udogie, who is onside. Semenyo's tracked him, giving it a little bit too much space now, though, because he's walked through 2 players. Trays a 1-2 with Son, and then goal. Oh my God, that's so poor. How on earth does he just walk through like that? That was so easy to stop. A lot of good work in that half has just been thrown away. That defending is terrible. Udogie walks through 3 players. Right, so the ball through here from Perisic. Udogie's onside. That's not an issue. Semenyo gets close to him, but then just lets him wander off. Aarons doesn't follow him. Ball's in. Ball's comfortably in. And then Kulusevski, and then Kirkes doesn't follow Kulusevski. Kelly's on his back feet. Zabani hasn't got back into position. Just all round, that is a disastrous set of defending. There are 5 Bournemouth players and 2 passes cuts through all of them. That's shocking. That's absolutely shocking. That's poor from Aarons. That's poor from Kirkes. Not enough work rate from Kelly caught on his back feet again, and that's a typical Kelly issue. Semenyo doesn't really bother getting into Udogie when he should have done. Oh, there was a lot of really good play and attacking and pressing that we've done in the second half there, and that has just been thrown away from just through. Oh, totally unnecessary mess ups at the back. Totally unnecessary. My word. That's so disappointing. So disappointing. Spurs are on the attack again. Kelly's going up against Son. Forces him out wide to Perisic. Ball goes in the box. Well headed clear by Kirkers. Anthony's track back gets ahead of Kulusevski. And in that instance, even though he's gone down under just as much as Maddison did in that other corner, no foul given. Anthony did a better job of selling that as well. I think Maddison was a blatant dive. Spurs on the attack again. They've got that confidence back. Udoji on the left-hand side with the ball, plays it through the middle of Aarons, but Aarons tracks him this time. And that one is a foul. Billing looks like he's starting to run on empty a little bit. To be fair, he's worked really hard. We were playing pretty well there. Yeah, not great. Not great at all. I think Zabani doesn't. Oh, Anthony in behind takes a shot straight at the keeper. But again, wonderful production value. They've decided to cut to the crowd and all the Bournemouth fans that are unhappy. They cut back. Anthony's managed to find himself in the opposition third, and I don't really know how. There's a Spurs player down, and I have no idea why the Spurs player is down. It's just shocking production from whoever's dealing with the camera cuts on this. Ooh, Solanke. I tell you what, Solanke might be in trouble here. No, he's not. I was a little worried there because Solanke really catches Van der Ven there. Really, admittedly, not a closed arm, and the arm is sort of like, I mean, not a closed fist rather, but wasn't good. That wasn't smart or good from Solanke. A little bit worrying for a second there. I thought if the yeah, I mean, admittedly, I don't think that would be I don't think that's worthy of a. I don't think you really should be giving that a red. In terms of like generally, we know that's a yellow card, but it also wasn't very. Oh dear, Aaron slips over now. Perisic has the ball on the left hand side. No, okay, we're back in defensive shape. Very good work there from Cookie. Cookie's done all right since coming on. Solanke doesn't quite take that down. That's fair enough. That was a difficult touch. Spurs passing it around quite nicely, surrounded by Bournemouth players, but they find their way out quite comfortably. Ball on the right-hand side. Finds into Basuma. Ball into Son isn't good enough. Kelly shields it to win it back. Is looking for an option, passes it to Kirkers. Kirkers to Anthony, who sort of dummies it, but it falls straight to Porro. I don't understand why we were worried too much about playing it around from the back there. Just get the ball upfield quicker. And that's meant to be a hallmark of Iraola. Needs to be that ball. Once Kelly's got it back, he needs to look for the ball that gets us 30 yards up the pitch, not 2. Yeah, it was a silly one from Solanke, but he maybe was a little bit lucky he didn't get at least a yellow for that. Billing trying to drag us up the pitch, but unfortunately can't get past 2 players. Now the ball's with Maddison. Kelly, go to the man. Maddison misses. I think Maddison has to shoot there, but Son's frustrated that he didn't pass to him. But that was a 3-on-2 there. Traore moving us up the pitch. Passes it to Anthony. I think Billing might be done. Anthony on the left-hand side, got no Bournemouth players near him. He's got to take on 3 Spurs players and wins a throw. Does all right. $20 minutes to go, plus stoppages. We've had 1 shot on target in the second half. Trier with the ball in, flicked away. It was a decent ball in the box. It's the best one we produced this match. The press was starting, but then it wasn't initiated properly. Aarons is down, holding his face. Him and Perisic were sort of battling away, sort of partly on the pitch, partly off the pitch. It's been interesting to see if there's any afters there. I think Aarons is a bit silly. But then he's following Perisic, and then Perisic... Oh, that's a red card. If they catch that, that's a red card for Perisic. He punches Aarons in the face. He's staring straight at Aarons, and he punches him in the face. If that's admittedly, it's from a bad angle. But as far as I'm concerned, I need a different angle, because that looked like he punched him in the face. That's got to be a red card. That's like the angle was not good, but that looked like he just punched him in the face. Okay, no. Okay, different angle. It's not a punch in the face, but it looks like it could be. I don't think it is. I think he's holding on to his shirt and then shoves the shirt away and sort of almost catches him square in the cheek, but sort of like just brushes against him. I think Aarons tries to make it more of it than it was. But Perisic is a little lucky there because he's staring squarely at Aarons as he pushes his arm forwards. So without a better angle, that looked like he punched him in the face. He didn't, but it looked like it. Ball into the box, goes to Billing, puts it back in. No one's at the back post. Everyone's clumped within about 2 feet of each other. So obviously no one's able to move into the right position. So frustrating. In that particular instance, the first ball is correct, but I feel as though no one knows what the rest of the plan is. Oh. That's... So in that instance just then, Anthony wins the ball in the middle of the pitch from a loose touch, plays the ball nicely to Semenyo, but Semenyo's first touch is behind him. But he needs to push it on because there was no one in front of him. But he plays it behind himself and he ends up giving the ball away. Just because of the ground punch that would score in about, well, wouldn't score in about. Yes. But I feel as though because there's really not enough, because the camera is from so far away, it's not clear enough. And they talk about clear and obvious, which is a phrase I really don't like. But if it's got to be clear and obvious, that wasn't clear. So it can't be obvious. And I realized then that's really why he was never going to get sent off for that. A better angle, slightly different look at things. If it's closer up, could have gone. He could have done. But no, I think that was just a yellow. And Maddison has been taken off for Skip. And Bissouma is coming off for Lo Celso. Well, Lo Celso will be replacing Maddison, and Skip will be replacing Bissouma in the midfield. Billing blowing there, time to switch with 2 sub windows used. Maybe Irella wants to wait a bit and make more changes. Possibly, but I think I saw it and then didn't really twig it in my head. Brooks has just come on. Would have been for Semenyo. Billing is still on. Also, you're talking about 2 sub windows used. One of those sub windows was halftime. So that doesn't count towards the total amount of total of 3 sub windows. That was obvious there. John, thank you for joining us. Yeah, it wasn't clear. Which was the issue. Time for around a sunny Bournemouth, given, well, I think it's rained on and off for a decent bit in this match. Good pressuring there from Anthony and Kirkes, but that goes out for a Spurs throw. Yes, halftime is not included as part of the substitution windows. So you get halftime and you get 3 sub windows. So obviously you can not including if a concussion substitution happens, because if a concussion substitution happens, then that would obviously be its own thing. So, just about to tick to 75 minutes on the clock. 2-0 down. And Bournemouth have only really had sort of what Spurs in the attack again, well intercepted by Kirkers. Aaron's on the ball and does a Cruyff turn to keep us in play at the back. Nice ball from Zabani over to Billing. That's what I want to see more of. Ball that stretches the play a little bit more like that. Nice pass from Kelly. Good turn from Traore. Traore, wonderful ball into Solanke. Fantastic tackle from Van der Ven. Brooks comes onto the ball. He's still on it. Passes it wide to Anthony. Anthony pokes it to Brooks, who dinks it back, and it's not. That wasn't good. But cleared by Skip, Van der Ven, whoever it was. So, Bournemouth throw ends up bringing the ball back to Zabani. Plays it out wide to Aarons. Through to Brooks. Back to Zabani. Well inside the Spurs half. Kelly. Kirkes. Anthony. Taking on Porro. Plays it to Kirkes, who comes inside. Tries to get it to Traore, but is well intercepted by Lo Celso, who dinks it up the pitch to Kulusevski. Good tracking back from Traore, but then kind of gives up. Lovely ball in behind to Son from Kulusevski. Well tracked by Zabani, but he needs to get closer to block this cross, which he does. And the ball almost goes out for a corner, but Lo Celso keeps it in. Playing it back to Son, who tries to get it into the box, but doesn't get it past the Bournemouth player. Wait, I was calling Lo Celso when I think I should have called Skip. Whichever. It's now Lo Celso on the left-hand side with Perisic. 1-2's of it with Højbjerg, who plays it into Lo Celso, who's not being tracked. And I do think that Billing needs a rest. But Billing does dive in to get that, and well done. He forces the ball towards the keeper, who just about prevents it from going through a corner. But Billing looks like he's out of puff. He really does. Ball over the top from Neto. Billing and Anthony goes for it, but is fouled apparently by Porro. I feel that maybe is a little bit generous. Ben, we really can play when we try to. No end product, but lovely bit there. Yeah, some nice moments. Do you think you want to get Traore more and more involved? Got Alex Scott, Danga Watara, and Tyler Adams all sat in the stands there. One of our part of our lengthy injury list. Brooks and Perisic having a bit of a word there. But Aarons has the ball about 20 yards out with a throw on the right-hand side. 1-2 with Traore. Now Cook is pushing forward. I do think Traore looks rather effortless on the ball. I do think we just need to play him more. He needs to be getting those opportunities. Tries a reverse pass, doesn't work out. Ball ends up going back to the keeper, whose long ball is nowhere near anyone. And Spurs have it again. Although Udoji's just gone down, having played a pass. So we'll be stopping the game for a bit. As play has been stopped, let's see if we can bring up some statistics again. Still very much in favour of Spurs. Obviously, they've created the far better chances. We've only created about 0.1 XG in the second half. 0.08. There you go. Obviously, Spurs haven't made the one brilliant chance, or the two brilliant chances they did in the first half, but they made enough to obviously create the goal, which we should have done so much better with. Ball possession has stayed relatively even, but they've just had the more shots on target. Haven't had the corners, but doesn't really matter. Fouls, offsides. They've had 3 yellow cards, to be fair. But 3 big chances as well. Oh, that was me saying, like, they haven't had the big chances they made in the first half. Yeah, Kulusevski's was a big chance, and he converted it. And there's the big thing here. It's just the fact that we haven't created enough. And that's the frustration. Now, admittedly, again, got to say, it's against a very good Spurs side who I expected to beat us today. But that doesn't mean it's not frustrating when we seemingly just can't make that sort of bit work in the end. And this was one of the things that I was sort of considering to be an interesting sort of point of contention in the tactical shift from Gary O'Neill to Andoni Iraola. Because Gary O'Neill developed a system where we didn't make that many chances, but the chances we did make were very good chances. It was a very low shot, high XG or high XG per shot creation model by very frequently getting to the byline and cutting it back. A very City goal as well. But we made it work. We made it work enough to get the points that got us safety. Whereas Iraola under Vallecano was very much, let's just shoot. We're going to create so many chances. We're going to win the ball back so much. We'll just keep shooting. We'll take loads of shots. It won't always be from great positions, but we'll make things work because just by pure volume, we'll get the goals. And we haven't really finished that transition yet. We're not a high shot volume yet, but we're not at the point where we're making good opportunities either. A nice high press there wins the ball back, but unfortunately we can't turn it into anything and we lose the ball. Oh, Udoji went off for Ben Davies, who's coming at left back. You see there, that was a very interesting move there by Ben Davies. He's just come on the pitch, but he just ran into midfield to create an option. Kelly on the ball, plays it to poor from Billing, but very well interrupted by Romero. Romero's been class. Romero's really good. Romero's been very, very good in defence for Spurs. Spurs have passed it around nicely here. Now the ball is with Son on the right-hand side. Passing between him and Skip and Højbjerg. Porro coming inside to form the box. Romero passes it inside to Ben Davies, who's in the middle of midfield. And they just get through our press again. Ball through to Son on the right wing. Kelly going up against him. And now it's Kulusevski. Passes it to Porro, who's on the edge of the box, who wants to shoot, but he gets blocked. Falls to Brooks, who passes it to Anthony, who's on the right-hand side. Now Aarons and Zabani needs to just get rid of it, but he does well. Gets past 2 players, looking for the right pass. Anthony has it. Really good work there by Zabani. That's the carrying that we expect from him at the back. Donald, it's all well and good saying he's a striker, but how many chances has Solanke been given? Kirkes bombing down the left. I think he's won us a corner there. This is the thing. Or it's been given us a goal kick. Has it? No, corner. This is the thing, Donald. It's all well and good saying, we need a striker. But the striker is the guy at the end. The striker is the guy that does the last bit that puts the ball in the back of the net, generally. The other players need to get it to him. You can't judge Solanke on his goal scoring if the attackers don't get the ball to him for him to score. Solanke has been the source of the best chance we had, and the other attackers didn't get on the end of it. Cross comes in from the corner and falls straight down to Vicario's throat, and he punches it, but he doesn't do well with it. And then Cook shoots from range, and nothing happens. 5 minutes to go plus stoppages. This is the thing. Speaking of strikers, Kiefer Moore's about to come on because it is kind of like 5 minutes left, last-ditch territory. Vicario playing it around at the back. does well there. Oh dear, Kelly runs out there, not doing very well, and suddenly we're in a difficult position. Brooks runs back well. Aarons is now trying to deal with Perisic on the left-hand side. Jinks onto his right foot, tries to cross it in, cleared by Zabarnyi. Cook misses that. Højbjerg's on the edge of the box. Let me just close my window. Sorry, I've got my window open, but someone's just decided to do some ankle grinding out there. Which you may, I don't know whether you can still hear that hum, but yeah, certainly. Aarons has fallen asleep a couple of times, but I think generally he's a very capable right back. But I think we need to see a bit more from him going forward. Personally, I think he does decent bits well, but not consistently. Last change, Billings come off for more because, last throw of the dice time. Yeah. The fact that stats-wise we haven't had a single big chance says a lot. And the one thing that I would say that would have become a big chance is the ball across the box that's across the 6-yard line that Solanke put in the second half, where Semenyo and Christie both failed to do the work to run in to get on the end of it, which was a tap-in. If Semenyo had run in, it was a tap-in. Aarons with the ball in the box, and Solanke tries to get himself on it. But in the end, Solanke and Moore both were in the same position, could have done better with that. And that's headed wide. Let's hope Moore does better than last week. Otherwise, I'd swap him, but God knows who with. Well, I mean, we're apparently in for Daka. Patson Daka from Leicester. The issue being that I think it's rumoured that Leicester want 23 million for him. That's way too much. Spurs on the halfway line. Either way, we need a better Moore. We need someone else instead of Moore. I don't think Moore's good enough anymore. Yeah, I agree. Well, Solanke's. I'm just saying that Solanke's the striker. So, by saying you need a striker, you're implying that the current one isn't good enough, and Solanke's that striker. We need another striker. I will grant you, we need another striker. Just a little bit more context, and I would have understood what you were going for. But we need a better striker than Moore as our second striker, which I 100% agree with your point. At times, we do look like a bit like headless chickens, but that's been in the press, not in going forward. I think going forward, there's just been not headless chickens. I think there hasn't been enough movement. Oh, Anthony. Long ball from Kelly, which Traore cannot compete to win, cannot win on his own. Anthony's playing a lot more central. He tries to play a pass to Traore, which comes off, but is tackled by Romero. Kirkes takes a quick throw to Traore, but is immediately tackled. Kirkes needs to work a bit harder here. I understand it's been a tough game, but ball into the box. Zabarnyi almost falls asleep, but gets lucky. Oh, dear. It's at moments like that I worry about Zabarnyi. He doesn't seem to put the effort in to make sure that he's sticking in line with the rest of his defence. And then he gives the ball away. I think he's had a good game, Zabarnyi, but then right at the end there, I think he's a bit foolish. I agree, Trapiche. He's way too much for backup, and he's not proven in the Prem. His goal numbers in the Prem aren't that good. We don't seem to have any idea. Like, we need a decent ticket of a free kick. Last 20 minutes, very disjointed to changes. Yeah, you get that at that last point. I agree with, which is pretty typical. I think there was some elements of disjointment just generally in the game already because Bournemouth are still getting used to the new plan, which is a phrase I won't say much longer. After another month, I think it'll be the point where I'm sort of going, right, you're done with excuses now. If the plan's not working, the plan needs changing. But right now, I think there's more to come. Good, Donald. I don't want to say Ings Wilson, but that type of player is what we could really enjoy. I think Daka fits the right mold of striker, someone that is just going to want to run beyond and just stretch the line. But Porro with a free kick, straight in the wall. Comes back to him, shoots again, and well wide. 8 minutes of stoppage time. John, in my honest opinion, football does not celebrate assists as it should. Actually has some mind-blowing assists here and there. I think they do. I think Messi got enough goals that were scored by Barcelona got praised for Messi's pass than it did for someone else's finish. Bournemouth on the attack. Anthony on the left. Traore on the left hand side tries to do, but doesn't get past the man, but doesn't. Then gets it back. Tries again, fails. Anthony takes out Kulusevski. Is that Kulusevski? I think it was. Senesi needs to start next game. Kelly's not. I just don't think Kelly's as good as Senesi. It's just straight up. I just personally, if you've got the choice and you go like, both are fit, which one do I pick? Kelly goes sit on the bench every game. I just think, like, very clearly, Kelly's passing is nowhere near as good as Senesi's, and that's a vital part of this plan. His athleticism, I will grant you, Kelly probably has a better sprint on him than, which is maybe why he was picked for this game. And he's able to cover ground a little bit better than Senesi. But Senesi is very hardworking. And does a lot better Morris going forward. This fourth official clearly just thinks he's supposed to give more time. Definitely not much. Well, to be fair, it's the ref that tells him how much to add on. But so we can't just follow that. Right. Bournemouth trying to get themselves back into this with almost no time left. Anthony on the right-hand side. Ball in the box. Doesn't quite reach Solanke. It's intercepted comfortably. Lo Celso on the ball to play out. And this is where Spurs, if they want to, should pick us off comfortably. But I think we can still try and get a good press going in this situation, but it needs to be more organized than that. This is where the headless chicken bit comes in. When you're pressing, if your press is not organized and if it's not consistent and you don't have the players to back up the initial presser, then you really do look like headless chickens. And some of the movement from the Spurs players here is not all that outrageous. Kirkes tries to play the ball forward to Solanke. Very good interception by Van der Ven, who has had a quietly capable game. Van der Ven has looked very comfortable at the back there. But it's enough. It's passes like that one from Kirkes where he tries to get it through to Solanke and he just hits the Spurs player. And there's been too many of those. When we actually try and play the incisive pass to really actually get through to create the opportunity, far too many times we've just found the Spurs player. Not even finding space for our man to run into. We've just hit the Spurs player. It's been, yeah. This is the sort of different level, I think, at the moment. Spurs are, quite rightly, had a very good start to the season, and I did not expect anything from this game because you just know that they're at a better level than us. They're just all round. They are at a higher level. Brooks has let his beard go a bit. I'm going to have to say, mate, I think you need to trim that. It's all under here. He's got nothing on his cheeks. Brooks has got a beard that only goes under the chin. I don't get that. I mean, I've grown this because I've got to get rid of everything that's on top. But oh, the sun's gone out just in time for the final whistle in 3.5 minutes. Kulusevski in the box on the right-hand side, through to Son, who passed it back to Ben Davies who fires it well over. Oh, it's still raining. Sun's come out. It's still lashing down. Yeah, well, decent bit over. "95 minutes hit, 3 minutes to go, along with any other additional stoppages the ref decides to add on. I mean, this is the first game that we've played that we haven't scored as things currently stand. But lovely ball in behind to Kiefer Moore there, who plays. That's behind everyone. That was better, but the next ball there just was the wrong one. And Spurs playing it out so comfortably as well. Players just finding space that no one's really tracking properly. Perisic turning Aarons inside out, fires wide. Spurs have had more than a couple of chances. Hayden, I think saying that he had a woeful game would be harsh, but I also don't understand why he was played instead of Senesi personally, because I just don't think Kelly's as good as Senesi at basically everything as a defender and someone on the ball. It wasn't just Kelly that made mistakes for both goals. Both goals were massively avoidable. Both of them. And the entire midfield, the entire defence messed up for the second goal, and most of the midfield and half of the defence messed up for the first one. I just, you can blame Kelly, but you have to blame Aarons for the second goal, and Zabani, and Kirkes for not tracking Kulusevski. For the first goal, you've got to blame Christie for losing Basuma, Billing for losing Sarr, the entire defence for losing Maddison, and Neto for not saving it, because I think he should have done. With not much time to go, Brooks has won the ball high up the pitch and almost got taken out as he passed the ball to Moore. Moore's trying to play it through to Solanke. Solanke on the right-hand side has still got it. Looking for the pass back to try. Oh, God, Jadon. Oh, dear Christ, man. Flipping heck. Ball gets played back to Jadon by Solanke. 25 yards out. He tries to hit it first time and he ends up getting a conversion. And a comfortable one at that. That ball should have gone to Aarons, who was bombing on down the right-hand side. Trebiche, on the right side, the team looks like it has an idea and a plan. We just need to execute it better. The game's under Gary Neal when it seemed the team had no idea what they were supposed to do. Yes, I'm not going to doubt that. Although I do think, though, okay, it wasn't clear against West Ham, but I feel like going against Liverpool, I think we got a bit of a better look at things. And in this match, I think, again, you're right, I think there have been times where the press has worked very well. But at other times, we've been torn apart. And there's the final whistle. Which, admittedly, you do have to say that Spurs are very good at what they do. It was... I mentioned it at the start. It was all going to be about Spurs' plan and Bournemouth's plan clash. If Bournemouth do things well, they can take advantage of Spurs' plan. But if Spurs do things really well, they can destroy Bournemouth. Now, they didn't tear us apart as badly as could have done. And I think I called I called the Spurs win comfortably. I said 3-1. It was 2-0. That's twice now. I've got the goal difference right of losing by 2 without getting the score bang on. And it was very clear that basically just Bournemouth just didn't execute their plan well enough at times. But you can't maintain a press consistently for the entire game. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. But at times Spurs just cut through us like a hot knife through butter. And it really should have been more. I really think Spurs should have scored at least 3, probably 4. And Bournemouth had one good chance that they didn't even result in a shot. Yeah, it messed up on that both teams to score, Ben. Though to be fair, I called both teams to score in my prediction. I thought it'd be 3-1. Didn't work. Yeah, I think Jaden was playing rugby. I think the issue at the moment I'm having with Jaden is that I noticed in that match, after he came on, I said, Jaden, a few times. And that's not good. Which makes he's taking bad touches, bad passes, bad choices. Poor. Unfortunately, Anthony is falling behind out of all the options. I really do think at the moment. Yeah, that was basically where everything fell apart for us today, Roy, I feel. Right, okay, get your thoughts together. We'll do a little bit of a review before finishing the match, but I will just have a quick 2-minute break, and then I will be back. Hello. Welcome back for the review. No, my voice is already starting to go. I'm hoping that the more I do these, the more my vocal cords will train themselves to get used to talking for 2.5 to 3 hours straight. Thank you very much for everyone that joined. I'm sure a bunch of you have left at this point, but going to go through a little bit of a review. Just have a think back as to how we went. But just before Just before we do that, just a quick thank you to every single one of our channel's monthly members and those of you that donate at all, any money at all. It's helps us keep the streaming software going, can help support us if we want to do a bit of work at improving our mics, because I know a couple of our regular contributors are still using the mics on their mics on their earphones, so we're hoping that maybe we splash out a bit on a couple of new mics perhaps for some of us. But yeah, for all of you that have donated at all to helping keep the channel going, thank you very much for everything, for all your donations. Thanks, Roy, for joining us. Yeah, that's true. This is up. I think, did I mention it, or I was considering mentioning that at least we scored in our first two games, but we failed to score in this one. That's our first game without a goal so far this season. Thank you for joining, John. Ben, lose by two twice in a row, yet still very optimistic. Where is that we play pure reserves against Swansea rather than use it as a springboard to boost confidence? Well, it depends what you consider. It depends which reserves. If we're playing, I wouldn't be surprised to see some, a fair few players that sort of could easily start matches for us, get some game time. Hoping the likes of Traore start against Swansea. Interested to hear Willow on Kelly, given last week he thought he should be first choice. I mean, we know that Willow can get blinded by things at times on his opinions. So, yes, final score. Final score: AFC Bournemouth 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Have a look at some of the stats from the game. Actually, let's have a look at the momentum bar. What I would say is that when you look at this momentum bar, when you compare that to the kind of play that we were producing under Gary O'Neill last season, when you look at how even this second half was and how, it was very 50-50 for a large chunk of the game right up until they scored. When we were showing a lot more of ourselves, that goal killed us off. That goal absolutely killed us off because we were looking like the slightly better side for much of the start of that second half without creating. Like I mentioned, I keep mentioning that one really good opportunity where Solanke flashed it across goal and no one was there to tap it in. But then after that, we didn't really make enough happen. You can see how much Tottenham sort of took control of the game for large periods of that. Statistically, it's not even close on the expected goals. And that's what I thought of the game. Shots, I mean, we're producing 11 shots, but the issue is 3 on target, 5 off target, 3 blocked. You want to be putting at least a 30 a shot, probably over a 30 of shots on target, ideally. Tottenham got 6 out of 17 on target. They scored a third of those. So, yeah, not great. Getting corners, the issue being that you're not doing anything with those corners. Now, something to consider, that how frequently do you think a goal is scored from a corner? Like, just what percentage of corners would you guess result in a goal? Or from the play of a corner? Because I can tell you the answer is 1%. The chances of scoring from a corner are incredibly low. And I think it's about... No, I think it's more than 6%. But it's quite a low chance they even produce a shot. Yeah, I think 6 to 7 is roughly... Might even be close to the percentage of which actually result in a shot for the offensive team. No, so that can't be right because I think headers on target. I think that's a shot on target. I think 6 to 7% is something like the percentage chance of a shot on target from a corner, something like that. So we make a lot more of corners in this country than corners actually sort of do. You don't actually get as much from corners as you'd like to, but the issue is that so many corners now, you basically have your image as the corner taker. If you see everything in front of you, there is, because corners are played at such a low trajectory, you have an incredibly small box in which for the ball to fit through to actually create a chance that's going to land on a header. Now, those that do nothing but train to take those, the likes of your James Ward-Prowses, they'll get it right 80% of the time, but most others just aren't hitting those numbers. And it's all good and well having someone that's fantastic at set pieces in it. I think it was Ben that made a point earlier. We had Harry Wilson in our season when we went down. He scored some great goals for us, but he was the invisible man. He did nothing in matches apart from occasionally turn up to make a goal, and you can't do that. It's just that's one of the reasons why we went down, is because instead of David Brooks on that right-hand side, we had Harry freaking Wilson on that right-hand side, who basically meant that we played with 10 men for the vast majority of every match he was involved in. So I think we just need a better plan for corners. And to be fair, I think we also need people properly practicing them a bit more often. Because the really weird thing about the setup from Spurs' defensive point of view on corners is that they had 3 men at the front post for corners. 3. Like, you don't need that many. There were no Bournemouth players near them. They were doing a very, what most is a partially man-marking, partial zonal. That seemed very zonal at the front post. There were 3 Spurs players at the front post, and I think only one of our corners that was played into the box went over those men. It'd be an interesting one to check. I can, because someone asked me for this information on Twitter after the West Ham game, is that we never found a Bournemouth head from a corner against West Ham, and I think the exact same thing happened today, which is something that needs improving. It just desperately needs improving. If you get 6 corners, you expect to be able to do something with one of them, and we did nothing with any of them. So very, very poor. Let's have a look at some of these comments because they're flooding in now. Already got to that one. Hello, Morgan. I think we need to sort something. Medical department is very worrying. I mean, we signed 3 players that were injured, and a lot of the others were injured anyway. I don't think there's anything really the medical department can do. True, that one came very close, and that one came somewhat out of nothing. Would have made it close, but I have a feeling we still would have lost the game, even if that had gone in. I'm also back from the doctors. Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed on that one. And yeah, it's low. It's really low. There was a Tifo video on it recently, or Tifo short on it. I think we've crossed wires there. Corners are a good measure of territorial advantage, though. Not a stat we really use in Kiki Ball, but use it a big deal in hand egg. Hand egg don't have corners. American football doesn't have corners. Yeah. I still got beef with Wilson. Those sitters he missed as well. I think Spurs also have a high advantage. Yeah, there's that. But you can... we've got enough players that can muscle their way into creating decent. Zabani is not exactly short. Billings, the tallest player on the pitch. Solanke can hold his own. Semenyo definitely can. There's enough players that we can get in there to create something from the corners. Territory. Right, yes, territory. And you're talking about rugby, not American football. Right, fair enough. That's the problem. They're both hand egg. Yeah, in terms of just thinking of some other things that went on in the game, I do think that Bournemouth's press, I've mentioned it enough times, Bournemouth press worked in moments, but the problem is that particularly in the first half, things broke down far too easily. And and I saw it very clearly when Ben Davies came on, and one of the first things he did was just run past about half his teammates to create, making things awkward for us defensively and to give his teammates options, is that the Spurs players were very good at moving into space, which sounds really silly to say because the majority of the pitch is space. But the amount of times that Bournemouth looked like they were about to hem Spurs in, and then suddenly one easy pass has removed all 5 of our pressing attackers from the game. And Spurs are really good at doing that. And Spurs will do that to a lot of teams this season that want to press them. For Bournemouth, they just need to be better at hemming the team in more and making sure that they don't allow that spare man. What you want if you're the pressing side is to force the opposition's spare man to be the goalkeeper or someone on the other side of the pitch. And far too often in this game, Spurs' spare man was right in the middle of the pitch in acres of space with no one around him. And that was the easy pass that we let them find far too easily. Dom was chasing 3 players at times. Yeah. That was, to be fair, I think that was more in the first half. And I think you can very clearly see things improved at the start of the second half. We had a look at the momentum bar. It was very much in Bournemouth's favour up until the second goal. And you just looking at it in your eyes, it was just like, wow, we were winning the ball up the high at the pitch at the start of the second half a lot. We were doing it frequently. We just weren't turning it into enough chances. And that's the thing, is that there are 2 phases to the pressing plan. You win the ball and then you turn it into a chance. We did the first bit well for quite a bit of the game, here and there. But then the next bit is that once your players have swarmed around the Spurs players to win the ball back, they then need to run away from the Spurs players to find space to receive the ball to create a shot. And that wasn't good enough today. It just wasn't even close to good enough. And that's where phase 2 of the plan is yet to really flow yet. That's really the main sort of talking point, really, from that game for me, from a Bournemouth perspective. Is that the plan? The embers of success are showing. It's just quite a bit of a way off to match these teams. To match teams at the level of Spurs, we're a way off. But thankfully, we're not playing the likes of Spurs every single week. And what we have next, I think, are 2 really good opportunities to really turn misses into victories and really sort of push on a little bit more. If I show up I'm going to end this soon, but if I just show up Bournemouth's next few games, we've got Swansea in the Cup on Tuesday, which is hopefully just an opportunity to just gain some confidence in get your win. Doesn't matter how you do it, get your first win, develop that confidence, and just gain knowledge that it doesn't matter, even if it's a mid-table championship side, you can still produce a win. You can still get the victory. Then going to Brentford will be interesting. Brentford should still be very much the favourites in this game, but I think Bournemouth can hopefully spring a surprise. And in terms of dealing with the press, actually properly attacking the opponent and making sure that they find it difficult to play out, this is a better opportunity for us to actually do that, because I don't think Brentford will look for the short pass in the way that Spurs did. They'll look for the long passes far more often. And that's where Zabani, I think, has been very good in dealing with those. The issues you've got to worry about balls over the top. Balls that you must contest, Zabani, I have faith, will win every single one of those, basically. Whenever a ball has gone up and Zabani's had to go up head-to-head with someone, he wins it like every time when it's an open play. From corners, let's not talk about that right now. But open play, Zabani has been dominating the number 9 that he's been going up against. The worry with Brentford is that they put the balls over the top. They put it behind your defensive line, which is where you feel like, because Kelly's faster than Senesi, you might play Kelly instead. But I just feel as though, apart from that pace, Kelly is just more vulnerable than Senesi in basically every aspect of the game. Right, final thoughts from people in the chat. Ben, I know the first 2 months are difficult, but rather it this way as we're still getting settled. It gets easier when hopefully we have players back and a system they understand. Yep, absolutely believe. 8 points from those 4. Those 4 being Brentford away, Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Arsenal at home. Good flipping luck, Ben. If you want to throw your money away on 2 wins and 2 draws from those 4 games, be my guest. Because I am still I'm far too realistic and pessimistic at the moment to see us getting more than maybe 2 draws out of that. I really don't see us winning any of those games, personally, as things currently stand. But then things get a little bit easier. Bearing in mind the international break is obviously after the Brentford game, so we hope we start kicking into gear a little bit more against Chelsea. Brighton will be one of the hardest games we'll have all season, similarly against Arsenal. But then away to Everton, which will be the next game that I attend personally. At home to Wolves and at home to Burnley. These 3 are massive. We definitely should be aiming for 9 points from these 3 games. After what I imagine, we might end up with 2 or 3 points in total come October, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're in the relegation zone. These 3 games need to be 9 points. Absolutely. At least this result supports your plan to ensure your inclusion will be the drop this season. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I am kind of, and we are hoping to restart that. I am kind of hoping that we actually end up, by the time we hit October, on a very low points tally, maybe be in the relegation zone, and then I will put a bet on us finishing in the top half, because I reckon once we get going, I reckon we'll take off. It's just a case of all this time is the bedding in, and we need to be sort of on it against Arsenal and ready to then just pounce on Everton, Wolves, and Burnley. These 2 will be just barely escaping relegation, or we're trying to. Burnley should be better than that, but still, at home, we should be beating a newly promoted side. So these games are massive. Then Man City will get destroyed. At home to Newcastle should be a point, because Eddie has given us 2 points from the 2 Newcastle games so far. And then another big one against Sheffield United. So, yeah. Anyway. No, hang on. That's not the button I meant to press. That's the button I want to press. So, a loss, another loss. But 3 games in, still early days, still a lot more to go. Still got a cup game coming up, which hopefully we'll be able to do a little bit better in. And fingers crossed, knock on wood, it'll be an opportunity to get a win and just build a little bit of confidence. I mentioned when admittedly it was under Parker, but it was something I spoke about before we started that season, because Parker was looking to make a formation change to switch us to a 5-3-2, which after winning a game, he basically ditched for the next 3 and unsurprisingly got hammered in all of them. I said that new formation, new tactics, you need that first win to sort of gain the confidence. And at the moment, obviously, none of that right now. So regardless of who it's against Swansea, he should be playing a strong side, because you just need that win. Just that one win. Doesn't matter who it's against. Just gain the confidence and say, have faith in what we're doing. Because you can talk about things have been great on the training ground and everyone's still having a laugh and it's all fun and games. If we don't get a single win up until we hit October, I don't care what team you're in. I don't care how good a manager you are. Morale will drop. So you need that win. You need to get that victory against Swansea just to show things are going to be going well and we're moving in the right direction. Obviously, if we beat Brentford or Brighton or Chelsea, then all the better. But I still think we're going to struggle against all those teams. Anyway, I think it's about time that I switch off because it's almost time for the 3 o'clock games. We should all be settling in for the weekend, our lovely long weekend, those of you who are based in the UK, and enjoy hopefully some better weather than what is going on in Bournemouth right now after all that raining. But yeah, there were positives in that game. There were some moments that we can say were positive, but there were some very frustrating moments. And both those goals, oh my God, you could pick apart the terrible defending on both those goals. Oh dear. Just go through the last few comments before I say goodbye. Thank you for joining me for the whole watch along, Trapiche. Great insight and great watch along. Thank you very much, my good man. Part Many, thank you for joining. We may as well play these tough fixtures while it's still forming. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Yeah, there's a great while we're forming and when we're norming. I like that terminology. Thank you very much, Ben. Cheers for joining me. Have a top day. Cracking chat from those in chat too. Don't forget the likes. Yes, please. If you're still in and you haven't clicked the like button, then please do that. Just do us a favor and subscribe if you have. If this is the first time you've seen the channel and you've enjoyed, then if you enjoyed hearing me talk, then please do subscribe. Yeah, exactly. We should be doing that. Need to get that momentum. Thank you for joining, Donald, as well. But yeah, it's another game. It's another loss. Unfortunately, this is the way it goes. But yeah, hopefully in the weeks to come, hopefully against Swansea, we pick up that first win. We get that positivity, we get that momentum, and we push on to play Brentford in a week's time. But thank you for joining me on this watch along. Do hit the like button, as mentioned. Do click subscribe if you haven't already. It all really does help. And thank you once again to anyone that's donated or is a monthly member. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army to support us monetarily. But if you can't support us, that's absolutely fine. Hit the like, and it does a job for us as well. But until the next watch along, and until the next Bournemouth game, I will see you around, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Up the cherries.